Oh no.
There isn't enough fan art of Ratchet feet. Specifically Ratchet 1 feet, because he goes across, like, so many different planets, like, imagine the gangrene on those things. Like little, like, those little grilled cheese sandwich, like, flippers.
Thanks, I hate it.
Fun fact, that was my original name, until they changed it on the birth certificate. Don't worry, I've got years of trauma to get through. I wonder what John Halo's thinking right now.
He's probably thinking that, man, I can't wait to meet my new Xbox buddy, Captain Price.
In Spyro.
Yeah. In Crash. And then the door kicks open and you see Woods coming in. And he's dropping F-bombs left and right.
Dude, even Gears is isn't as bad with its language. And that's definitely one of the worst offenders when it comes to mature rated, Xbox games.
My only experience with Gears and bad language is that E3 demo they did of either 4 or 5. Where you had all this violence going on, and then they were saying the F word, but it was bleeped out because it was E3. And it was for me.
It was 5 because it was.
That was really weird.
Yeah, we're really backwards. What was funnier
jarring.
What's funnier about that one? I think that was the one that was shown off on Disney XD. So that's like the American way to do things. Okay.
Yeah, sounds about right.
I died.
Okay, we are running live with the chat. The stream link has been distributed, so we are officially ready to go 3 minutes into this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another TTV PSN Fan Community Game Night. I am Princess12, once again joined by Loca-Cola.
This LMG is about to be mounted and loaded.
It is indeed, and we are also joined by Daxercorp HD.
You realized last week that we had talked about the Bethesda buyout, right? And we were like, this is never happening again. This is never happening again.
Yeah, no, I am well aware of the irony in that situation. Of course, that was off stream when we had that discussion, which is somewhat unfortunate now that I think about it, because it's like, oof, that would have been great to have there for the Curb Your Enthusiasm moment. Well, that's never happening again. Yeah. Oh, brother.
Poorly. No. We can submit that onto poorly aged things.
Exactly. Yes. And then probably
aged
sometime
like milk.
Yeah, and then probably sometime later we will also be joined by Lewis in the chat. He will not be on voice, but he will be probably, hopefully, putting his opinions in the chat. So, yeah, if you can't tell by the title or by what we're playing, well, at least by what Loke and I are playing,
I don't know what you guys are playing, but I'm playing Spider-Man.
Oh, you're playing Spider-Man? I thought you were still playing Black Ops.
No, I'm playing Battlefield, but I am tempted to go to Spider-Man, since that was at one point an Activision property for a short amount of time.
And it's now
That's
a
fair.
PlayStation IP.
Yeah.
So we
it's
got
so
PlayStation
confusing.
and Xbox.
It's so confusing. So
yeah.
So yeah, if you can't tell what we're talking about the literal biggest news to ever come out of the gaming industry, like ever.
Lego Star Wars:
Skywalker
Saga actually came out. What?
Well, it's not out yet. It got a release date, but that's not really that noteworthy because it's had a release date before.
Close.
It's had a release date before. So.
Thank God for Royale.
Oh wait, the tuk-tuk doesn't float.
out of context statements. Oh, the tuk-tuk doesn't float. So
that's funny. Why isn't the body coming back up yet?
So yeah, just before we really get into it, just initial impressions. What are you guys thinking of that news that broke Monday?
Loka, I want you to go first because we never let the Europeans do anything.
Bruh. Now I'm just gonna be silent out of spite.
Don't worry, you can be neutral just like your country.
Funny you say that, because based on
Current
what
events?
I heard off stream, I think that might be a accurate assumption to my thoughts about this actually.
Oh really?
I've gone through pretty much all of the different stages
of grief.
at a much quicker pace than I did with the Bethesda one. So yeah,
because that was actually that was a good studio at one point.
Like initial points, initial thoughts was kind of like, oh dear, and I don't know, like I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm completely fine with it as of now, but I guess I'm a little bit more fine with it. I think there might be some good things coming out from this, but there are also a lot of things to be concerned about. Just my initial thoughts.
Okay, so that's kind of Loka's viewpoint on it. Daxter, where are you sitting?
Hopefully optimistic. There are some things I have issues with. What is this going to make Sony do? Are they going to start buying things out? What is this going to mean for the gaming industry as a whole? Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, are people just going to feel like there can only be 3, no more third party anymore? Like, how's this going to work? I don't know. I've got some thoughts, and they're not well structured, which isn't.
Well, that's pretty on par for us.
Yeah. It's business as usual.
I'll probably use this as my thesis for my comp too. I'm
very interested to see, because I thought that Loka and I were going to be kind of on the same page here, so I'm very interested by the fact that he's stating that he's kind of neutral in this.
I think we're going to have some of the same arguments.
Yeah, for sure, but we're gonna have some of the same arguments, but overall it just sounds like you're a little more meh about it, where I am overwhelmingly negative about this. It's like, if you have any experience on my channel, you know that I'm kind of Mr. Optimistic. For the most part, I'm pretty optimistic and upbeat about most things. Very rarely do I get doom and gloom and upset about things. It's like even when we're like talking about things we don't necessarily like say when we've been complaining about sequel trilogy content or something when it comes to Star Wars, it's like, yeah, I didn't particularly like the way that panned out, but it's okay because we've got all this other stuff that I do enjoy. I always manage to find a silver lining to things. I cannot find a silver lining to any of this. This is just I just feel so overwhelmingly negative about this entire situation that it's like, no, this is just bad from every aspect. And it's like, I don't understand how anyone. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. It's a little hyperbolic. I understand why some people are optimistic about it, but I feel like that they are being very short-sighted and naive by being as optimistic as they are, because like there's like some people online that are like, like this is the best thing that has ever happened, this is going to save everything, this is an overwhelming, there is no negatives to this whatsoever. And I'm like, are you crazy?
Yeah, that view I would also agree is a little problematic in being like completely, oh, this is, like only good things. Like, no, I could see one or two, maybe even three good things out of this, but it's not like a perfect situation. And of course, obvious console wars ensuing of like, oh, Xbox is getting like better and better, and you know they're gonna win over PlayStation. It's like, I mean, no one should really care about that aspect.
Yeah.
At least nothing like, oh, Xbox should win. Like, no, like the only console war I really care about is the corporal competition between Microsoft and Sony, where it pushes them to make better games and consoles and services. But like the whole internet comment section console wars, where like, no, get out of here.
See, and that's another thing where I feel like you know being so focused on the quote unquote console war in this situation, I feel like that's just so short-sighted, because this has ramifications beyond just Xbox has the leg up for the first time in a long while. This is literally if this deal is allowed to go through, because that's another thing about this, is that a lot of what we're going to be talking about is still hypothetical, because the deal's not actually going to be finalized until a whole like year and a half from now. So there is plenty of time for people in Washington to go, no, you cannot do this. Now it seems like that they're probably still going to allow it to go through, but I mean, who knows? Who knows?
This is unfettered capitalism. They're going to let it go through, unfortunately, for better or for worse.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, anything could happen, because a week and a half ago, I didn't think that a buyout of Activision was even possible to begin with. So it's like, at this point, I'm like, you know what? Nothing's going to surprise me. If it gets stopped, it's not going to surprise me. If it doesn't get stopped, it's not going to surprise me. So I'm just here. I'm just going to have to roll with the punches at this point. But I mean, this is the biggest change up in the industry since like the gaming crash in the 80s. Where I mean, because I mean, the entire landscape is just kind of like changing overnight in a lot of ways. I mean, am I wrong? It's like, because it's like in the 80s, the gaming crash happened and it almost destroyed the industry, and it almost. Oh wait, I've got an ammo box. It almost destroyed the industry. If Nintendo hadn't come in, we probably wouldn't have video games today as we know them anyway. So now like one of the big three publishers is just part of Xbox now, where it's like it's huge. It's a huge change. I would really love to have someone point out something that is a bigger.
One of the major makers of the video game industry dropping out to become a third party.
Are you referring to Sega?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they were the best third party, but it's unprecedented to see someone switch over. Atari did it, but unsuccessfully.
Right.
Sega's been able to stay afloat.
I definitely see the argument for that. I don't necessarily. It's like, okay, no, I see where you're coming from, but I don't think that is anywhere near as big as specifically this buyout, because that was all right. We're no longer making consoles, and now we're going to make games for everyone. Where this is now potentially we are now making games for less people. And where it's like Xbox now potentially has such a large controlling hand of the entire industry, where it's not a literal monopoly, but it is.
We got people coming towards our loadout.
Yeah,
at least 3, 4.
It's a whole squad.
Go back a little bit. Take cover.
Oh. Okay, thank you for downing that guy. He was about to kill me.
Oh wow.
On the loadout.
See him try to stealthily flank around. Ooh.
Is that not a door?
Also, because I want to get this joke out, Prentice, I'm sorry you're better about what happened with the whole Activision buyout, but it's just how it works sometimes. No. I would like to go into a little bit of why I think this is a good thing, and this isn't necessarily because of the whole Monopoly thing. I'm optimistic right now because I trust Phil will do the right thing. What I start having issues with is further down the line, 15, 20 years maybe even sooner.
No, it's much sooner. Give it 5. I think we're looking at like 5 years and we're in trouble. Because that's another thing. I don't trust Phil Spencer. I don't think
you don't trust.
No, I don't think that guy is a stand-up guy. Like, I think that's what he wants people to think, but I don't think that he is actually what he presents himself to be. I feel like he is definitely a opportunist. In a lot of now the things he has done to do this have been these kind of net positives, rescuing the brand from Don Matrick and stuff for Xbox. He's been an overall positive on Xbox. You can probably. I think that's safe to say. Shoot. But
I lost the
I feel like some of the things that he's done are kind of at the expense of. Are definitely kind of at the expense of like the industry as a whole, and he is, and this. Oh, we're for the, we are for the player. Kind of rings hollow to me in a lot of ways because I don't think they're doing it for the player. I think they're doing it for themselves because that is just what they have to do to survive, and they're not doing it for good. They don't have good intentions for doing the good things that they do. The things that they do are for survival and to make money. They don't do them for so I feel like the whole backwards compatibility and like the backwards compatibility, it's like basically any good thing that Xbox has done over the last console generation I really don't think are really good because like they're not doing this because they're nice. They were doing these things because they were losing and they needed a way to get people back on their side. And they're like, oh, let's pretend to be nice. And then it's like Sony, and I will say Sony's the exact same way where they played nice at the beginning of the PS4 generation because optically they lost the PS3 generation. So they had to play nice at the beginning of the PS4 generation, but you saw what they did once they started winning. Yeah, at the beginning, they're like, "Oh, we're all for indies and blah blah blah," and we love, it's like we want as many people to play as many games as possible. And then as time went on, they started to become like, "No, we kind of want to start locking things down." And it's like now the whole cross play thing with Fortnite and that stuff that I still feels a little bit different because I don't think that was them being stubborn. Or we're number one. I think that was like, well, we're afraid of letting other people have access to our network because of what happened in 2011.
Yeah.
I still feel like that played a large factor into it, but I still understand optically. I have no. Okay. I had no gun. I still feel like that played a big factor, but still I understand optically people doing it. So Sony, they did the. Look at how they quickly turned in, once they start winning, look at what they did. I think Xbox is going to be the exact same way. Once they start winning, they're going to turn the exact same way, and it's going to be very much the, okay. So he gave us all his stuff, and then he just disappeared.
That's,
Is that a metaphor?
No, it's a literal thing that just happened.
Yeah, because there was the guy in our squad. He gave us all of his stuff, and he's like, "Hey, look at all this loot I've got for you guys," and then he left the game. So I guess it could be a metaphor. It just wasn't what I was building up to. That just kind of happened. Oops. But well, so yeah, I am not, because I mean it's because I mean they and I understand it, because they're both corporate companies that at the end of the day they just want to make money. So I don't necessarily trust that a lot of the stuff that Phil is saying right now. I feel like he's kind of lying through his teeth in a lot of instances. Like the whole, I just had, like the tweet he put out the other day of him going, I have just had a good conversation with our dear friends at Sony, and we are committed to, at this, into some of the language he's using, like, at this point we are, right now, we are definitely committed to keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation, and in some of the ways that some of the verbiage he's using, I'm like, this could definitely, you could definitely loophole yourself out of this later, and I think that's definitely something that's going to happen.
He's using very vague words, which is partly concerning, but also because that means he doesn't, like, he hasn't said anything that he has to stand by later. It's just like, and
that's another thing, is that the deal is still in progress. They don't own Activision yet.
Yeah, and I think that's also part of it, where they can't really say, like, oh, we're gonna do this and this and that. Because,
so I understand some of that. Yeah, so I understand. Yeah. I understand some of that, but still, I'm still going. It's like, okay, well, you just wait. In 2 years, I feel like there's definitely going to be a point in time where you can go, well, hold on, why are you doing this? Because a year ago you said this, instead. And it's like, well, when you look at what I really said, and it's like, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. So
I think in this instance, looking at what they're saying right now isn't really a good indication of what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Instead, you have to look at what Microsoft has done, with previous acquisitions, and there are two very big ones where you have two different outcomes, which, to be fair, makes it a little bit, like that leaves that cloud of, like maybe they won't go full exclusive, because of course you have the Minecraft. Them buying Minecraft, and not only is Minecraft still receiving new content for PlayStation and such, but they're also releasing games like that dungeon crawling one.
Minecraft Dungeon, I think it's literally just called Minecraft Dungeons.
Sounds about right. And then on the other hand, you have their acquisition of Cinemax, aka Bethesda.
Yeah.
Where, when they did the deal, he was talking like, like when it comes to exclusives, we're gonna go look at them like on a case by case basis.
And
it's a little odd,
games that have a history on other platforms will stay there.
Yeah, that too, which is a little odd statement, I guess, but also, I suppose, kind of makes sense when you factor in Minecraft. But then, when the deal goes through, like, it just, everything's exclusive.
Oh, we really need to move. This next zone is a long way away.
With the exception of Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, where there already was a deal with Sony to have them as timed releases, so they said that they are gonna honor their deals with Sony, which is also what they're saying now, which, sounds like a good thing, and I mean, I suppose it is, I guess, but it's I don't necessarily see that as like, oh, Microsoft are being good guys in this regard, because, well, from my understanding, if they were to break the deals, it could pretty much cost them more money than it's really worth to just go
potentially, yeah.
Yeah. So it is a good thing, but I wouldn't put that as like, oh, this is showing why Microsoft is one of the good guys. And in this regard, I don't think it's a case of them being good guys. It's just what they kind of have to do. And I'm missing all. Oh, I was about to say I'm missing all my sniper shots, and then I literally hit the shot. All right, let's get you up.
If I may, so I'm slightly more optimistic about this. I mean, you guys do make great points.
Directly behind me.
I'm not going to discredit any of that.
Might want to use the precision that you picked up.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I had it.
Think of the COD support studios. They might actually be able to make something now.
No, I don't believe any of that's going to actually happen. That's one of those things where it's like, you people are being so naive. It's like I'm gonna save that for let's circle back around to that, because that's one of those things I'm very pessimistic about. But okay. So to finish up what we're talking about here about Microsoft, trying to look like the good guys, and it's like, them honoring their deals, it's like all the backwards wording and stuff. It's like, well, we said this, but when you really look at what we said, it actually means this, and all that stuff that they could potentially be doing. The really big thing that makes me upset about this is just how much I feel like that with this deal, with it when it going through, that Microsoft, and really when you think about it, they've always had the power to do this. It's just that they haven't been flexing those muscles until just now, because they're Microsoft. They're one of the largest companies on the planet, and up until like the last, year and a half, they haven't really been treating Xbox like a core part of their brand. It's been that one thing on the side where it's like, oh yeah, we also do this, and we just kind of let them do whatever. But then now, when they went out and they bought ZeniMax, and acquired to acquire Bethesda, that was very much okay. Microsoft is all in. They are definitely putting some more weight behind Xbox than in the cave to your left, Loka.
Oh yeah.
That was definitely Microsoft going all in on Xbox, going, okay, we have the entire might of the company now behind this service, instead of it kind of being this little side project. Because I feel like the last time Microsoft as a whole corporate company cared about Xbox prior to this point was like when the original launched, and you had Bill Gates out on stage with The Rock announcing the original box in like 2001 or whenever it was, a long time ago now.
Yeah. Or
oh, dang it, sorry. I hit the wrong button, Loka. I left without the party, so you're going to have to rejoin me, sorry.
It was either 2000 or 99. But
yeah,
anyway,
it was long time ago is the point. So I feel like that's the last time they really threw all of their weight as a company behind the brand up until now.
I'd argue 360.
I mean, maybe.
You could make an argument for the Kinect, but I'm referring to Microsoft could have said no to that warranty extension on the Red Ring fiasco. They very easily could have said no, but they didn't.
Well, see, the thing is that I don't really know if they were still as active at that time, because they were winning, they were making money. So I feel like that's actually when they stopped being as involved because it's like, hey, you're doing good. We've kind of nurtured you. You've kind of become your own thing. Now we're going to kind of step away. We're going to let you kind of do your own thing. And then the Xbox One happened, and it just kind of turned into this unmitigated disaster in a way. And then now Phil Spencer went to the board or whatever. It's like, all right, here's my plans for Xbox as a brand. Let's go buy Bethesda. And then now they're like, okay, we're behind you. I feel so. I don't know. May not be right in that, but that's kind of the way I'm feeling. So they've always kind of had the power to do just basically whatever the heck they wanted, but they haven't actually done so up until just now. And so, but now especially, I feel like that in the gaming industry, they can get away with whatever the heck they want, and no one is going to really be able to do anything to stop them. Because some of the arguments against this I've been seeing online, I just like you guys are not looking far enough into the future here about what could potentially happen. Because when the deal was announced and people were like adding up revenue streams and stuff, it's like, oh, this makes Xbox the third highest earner in the games industry. People, you need to calm down. This isn't that big a deal because they're only the third highest earner in the games industry.
They're currently the third highest.
Right, and I'm like, okay, hold on. Okay, so they're the third highest today. What about in 2 years? What about in 2 years when they start getting that COD money, when they start getting that Candy Crush money? That's something I don't see brought up a lot, is that not only did they buy Activision Blizzard, they also acquired King, which rules the mobile space. So all of the 40-year-old moms playing Candy Crush on their phone, buying levels and stuff.
4-year-old moms?
40. I said 40.
I heard 4.
Loka, please tell me you heard 40.
He's not saying anything. He's not saying.
Oh, great.
He heard 4. He heard 4.
I heard the number 4.
Oh, great. I must have cut out. I must have cut out because I know I enunciated. I know I enunciated that well enough. But anyway, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean. Yeah, so all the moms playing Candy Crush on their
yeah.
All the moms playing Candy Crush.
I didn't hear a connection between 4 and mom.
Regardless of whether or not I enunciated, you know what I mean, is that all the moms playing Candy Crush on their phone, all of that money is now going to be going to Xbox specifically. And so there's that. But now gosh, I just can't wrap my brain around this in some ways because, okay, so let's say for arguments, because again, all this is hypothetical really. Let's say for argument's sake that Call of Duty stays multiplat, that it does not strictly stay, it doesn't move to Xbox only, it doesn't become an Xbox exclusive, and it does stay on everything. So when Call of Duty 2023 comes out, or 2024 comes out, or 2025 comes out, when we get Vanguard 3 or whatever, please no, it's whenever that happens, and you buy a copy of Call of Duty 2024 on your PlayStation 5, a vast majority percentage of that cut is going to go right back to Xbox. Because Sony doesn't make the game, so they earn money on you buying it on their machine, but they only earn so much of that, and the publisher of the game makes the majority cut out of that. Who's the publisher of Call of Duty? Activision. Who owns Activision? Microsoft. So Xbox is the company that's going to be making money on that, even if it does stay on PlayStation. So PlayStation could, they're not going to do this, but they could say, on a basis of the principle of the thing, we are going to no longer allow Activision Blizzard games to be sold on our console because we don't agree with this. It's like they do that, they're screwed, because look at how much money they're going to be, even with the smaller percentage cut they make on the games, they're going to be missing out on so much money, revenue stream, because it's like Call of Duty is the best selling game like year after year after year after year. So, and Sony wants a cut of that money. So they're not going to say, so if they do say it'd be stupid to say no to that unless they really do want to abide by like principle. It's like, we don't think this is good for the industry, so we're not going to allow this to be on our console.
They're not going to do that.
Yeah, and again, it's like they could do that. They're not going to do that. So it's like, look how much money they're getting. So they start missing out on that revenue stream from Call of Duty and microtransactions and skins. It's like, because like, and they make cuts. Like, it's like when I bought the soap skin on. No, and when I bought the COD points to buy the soap skin in Modern Warfare, a couple months back, the Sony got a percentage of that cut from me buying the COD points in on their digital storefront. So it's like they're going to be missing out on such a large revenue stream that's going to put them on the back. It's like there is literally a no-win situation, no matter what direction you turn for Sony here, and that is not, I don't think, good competition. That is not like, it's like, because some people are trying to compare this whole thing to like when Sony, oh, look.
And this is why I don't like flying planes in Warzone.
You landed right in front of me. I caught that entire thing right on stream, just all of a sudden, kamikaze plane right into the ground.
Oh, man.
That was so good.
And I'm only German.
Yeah, you're only German. But it's like, but some people are trying to compare this thing. It's like, oh, well, this is no different from when Sony bought Insomniac, or when they or any of the, or like when they bought Housemarque last year. Any of these other things that they've acquired in the last. It's like, no, this is totally different, because those were single teams that they had relationships with for years. I mean, they're in Insomniac's entire history, in their entire, almost 25, 30 years in the entire gaming industry, Insomniac has made, 2 games that have been on Xbox? One of them being multiplat because it was fused, because they did that with EA, and then Sunset Overdrive, which was an Xbox exclusive because they were kind of, like on the outs with Sony at that point, and they were kind of like, we're going to try our luck elsewhere, and they decided that, let's go with Sony after all, and they allowed themselves to be bought out for a substantially smaller sum of money by like a ridiculous amount. And then also, not only that, again, it's one team as opposed to an entire publisher.
Yeah, like if comparing Sony buying Insomniac, I mean, like that's more in line of when Microsoft buys studios like Double Fine or Obsidian.
Well, in Double Fine, Double Fine I thought was even weird, because Double Fine had more of a relationship with PlayStation than Microsoft, historically speaking. But
why was that? Grim Fandango?
Double Fine had tons of games on PlayStation, the PS1 and PS2 era. I mean, they made games for Vita, for Pete's sake. So I mean, I feel like that they were like
I don't know.
I don't think they were exclusively on Vita, but I mean,
they weren't exclusively on Vita. But
Double Fine always felt more Sony to me. I'm like, okay, that's weird.
I'm gonna beg to differ. When I think of Double Fine, I think Psychonauts.
Well, Psychonauts, I feel like that's a PlayStation game.
I see that more as a PC game.
Really, I see Xbox. Personally, I don't know why. I've always thought Xbox with this game. Kind of like how Star Wars has been in the past more of an Xbox thing.
Nah, I feel like for about a period of like 3 years in the early 2000s, maybe, but historically, Star Wars has always been multi-plat. I feel like sticking Star Wars to one thing is a little weird.
I'm saying for I was trying to say like for a short period of time.
Yeah, for a short period of time, sure, but in the entire history of Star Wars games, which has been around almost as long as the franchise itself.
No, I was gonna say because they had their exclusives with Nintendo. They had their exclusives with Microsoft, which I'd argue was bigger than the one with Nintendo. Sony, I don't think has gotten. Has Sony ever gotten an exclusive Star Wars game?
Yeah, no, they haven't. But see that again, that's one of those things where it's like you start getting into the weeds of that stuff. So we need to pivot away from that because Star Wars video games have been around for like as long as gaming itself, really, almost. So I don't really think it's fair to do that because it's like at one point in time it's like, well, duh. And it's like, are you really surprised that this certain Star Wars game was only on a Nintendo platform because there really wasn't much else at the time? It's like, okay, maybe there was Sega, but so I mean,
I'm talking like the Rogue series and I would say Episode 1 Racer, but most people think of that as an N64 game, which is a really weird thing to think.
Well, but at the same time, those also had arcade cabinets. So
and PC releases too.
And PC releases. So again,
Rogue hasn't. Rogue has not, to my knowledge.
No, but Episode 1 Racer.
Scope.
Yep.
And now it's
and Starfighter.
And Starfighter, of course. So again, Star Wars games. That's a whole. I mean, we could play Battlefront for 3 hours and hardly even get into. And really hardly even get into.
I'd still argue that the best versions of 2005 were on Xbox.
The franchise as a whole.
Or sorry, like the Battlefront franchise. Of the Battlefront 1 and 2, the best versions have always been on Xbox.
I'm running for the revive. Come on, Major Tom! Yes! Woo!
Wow.
Just in time.
Yeah, so
yeah, we definitely need to pivot from that. But I feel like that buying Activision is just such a overstep where it's like.
You know what my question is? Not that Activision was bought by Microsoft. I can see that happening. Why were they even in the business of being sold in the first place?
Because of Sledgehammer Games.
Pardon?
What?
It's Sledgehammer's fault.
What?
How?
So I had this epiphany, I think yesterday. I'm like, this is all Sledgehammer's fault. Because now obviously now you're gonna have to stick with me on this, and you're gonna have to let me talk because I know this is gonna be something where it's like you're gonna question things. But follow the timeline here. The last, I don't know, 6 months, I want to say, Activision has really kind of been in not great shape. It's really been a little bit more longer than that, but optically, we've kind of been tracking them a lot longer, and because we've been going, oh, look, all of their studios are now working on Call of Duty. We've been talking about that for like the past year.
Yep.
But optically, they've really been in trouble in the last 6 months or so with all the like sexual harassment scandals and stuff surrounding Bobby Kotick and other higher ups like at Blizzard and stuff like that. So they've definitely been in not great shape in the past 6 months. So you can definitely look at that and say this is what got them into the state they are today. But I don't think so. I think it goes further back than that. I think okay, hold on.
Where would you start?
Yeah, again, let me talk. I'm about to get there.
Well, I'm just helping you segue, so this is like an investigation story or whatever.
Right, yeah. So, well, again, I was legitimately about to say, here's where it started, and then you go, so where's it start? So...
I can keep making those obvious accusations. Or, not accusations, obvious word talks.
So...
Anyway...
Yeah, so... Activision hasn't been doing well recently, and some people say that this is where this is really why they were for sale. But I think it goes further back because I'm being shot. I think it definitely goes further back because I think even with all now, this is not to say that the things that were I'm dead. This is not to say that the things happening were fine. Everything was fine. Things were not as bad as this. No, things were definitely bad. At the publisher, things were not going well. People definitely need to be removed because it's like I'm actually really happy that some of the people at Respawn walked out like they did because of the way their QA testers were being treated and stuff like that. I think that's...
You mean Raven?
Well, I said Raven. What'd I say? Yeah, that's
Respawn.
what
I was like, hang on, Respawn.
Well, I mean, they've got ties to Activision, so from way back in the day, so that makes sense. But yeah, no, I meant Raven. Thank you. I definitely meant Raven. So I was happy to see that. It's like, okay, great, stand up for yourselves. That was cool to see. But I feel like they were like, it's like all this stuff was bad. Things needed to change, obviously. But I feel like that they wouldn't have been in as bad as a shape as they were if it weren't for Sledgehammer Games just derailing their entire pipeline. Now, maybe they shouldn't have been on this pipeline to begin with, and you can say that, oh, maybe there was a lesson to be learned there. But
is it one of the Black Ops games?
But no, well, yes, it's because of why Cold War is the way Cold War is. Because remember back in 2019, right before Modern Warfare 2019 came out, we got the early rumblings from Schreier going. Rumors are circulating that Sledgehammer has been taken off of next year's Call of Duty, and Treyarch is having to step in to fix the game because there's just like a lot of turmoil behind the scenes, and like there's like creative differences and all this other stuff going on, and to where Activision is really worried that they're not going to hit their yearly mark, so they are removing Sledgehammer as main developer. So that got their whole pipeline totally screwed up. This they have a game out and again, I totally see this as an argument for, well, they should have had the yearly cycle to begin with. But that's kind of neither here nor there, because from Activision's perspective, the pipeline worked up until this point where each dev team had 3 years to work on the games that they were putting out. Oh, really? Where did his extra armor come from? I had the little blue armor broken symbol, and then he suddenly had more armor when I started shooting him again. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Whatever. So, when Sledgehammer screws up the pipeline, that's when you start to see studios shift, because at that time they were putting out the Crash Insane trilogy, the Spyro Reignited trilogy. Oh, here's Crash Bandicoot 4. Now Toys for Bob is maybe going to work on releasing a. They're going to start maybe working on a Sly Cooper 4, Spyro the Dragon 4. It's like they were reviving these really old franchises that have been around for a long time that they hadn't really done too much with outside of Skylanders in the recent years. And now all of a sudden they're back, they're doing really well, people are liking them, it seems like they're being well cared for. And it seems like that's going great. And then all of a sudden they're just no longer doing that. And everyone's like, why are you no longer doing that? And why are you putting them on Call of Duty? Well, as I said a while ago, it's like the reason everyone's getting put on Call of Duty is because the pipeline got so screwed up when they had to shift around Treyarch and Sledgehammer and who was working on Cold War. Because that's like a huge shift up behind the scenes. And if I'm remembering my details correctly from reports, Cold War was made in like 6 months because of the they had to go in and redo things and change things up and do things the way they wanted to do it. And so really, when all is said and done, they had like 6 months to do everything. Which is like crazy that and it's like I don't really care for Cold War just based on the itty little bit I played, but it's like it's a wonder that game turned out as well as it did. And it's like it's no wonder that it was on the old Black Ops engine and not the new Modern Warfare one, because they didn't have time to learn the new engine. And so Toys for Bob starts working on Call of Duty. Vicarious Visions, and then there's also stuff going on with Blizzard that's like totally separate. Vicarious Visions gets shifted over, and they start working on Blizzard stuff because I guess things aren't going well over there. Oh, also around this time, the Tony Hawk games were getting remade and redone, because that's what Vicarious Visions had been working on before they moved over to work on Blizzard stuff, and so that was doing well. So I mean, there for like a year and a half, Activision was actually doing pretty well. They were making Call of Duty, but they were also like doing remasters of a lot of this old stuff. People are actually really digging what they were doing. Sales were good, everything was going pretty well. And now all of a sudden everyone's working on Call of Duty. That's the only thing anyone's working on. And it's like it seems like to me that the biggest change up behind the scenes to cause this is, well, it really, I will admit, it is kind of twofold. It is the shift in taking Sledgehammer off of what ended up being Cold War and putting Treyarch on it. And I'm sure the pandemic also had a hand in this as well, because like things
and Warzone as well.
And so I mean, yeah, it is.
Also, the support stuff got shifted too.
Yeah, it is definitely for certain multifaceted, but putting Sledgehammer. Moving, yeah. So Lewis has entered the chat. Hello, Lewis. So yeah, that's exactly what we're discussing right now. He says, hello. So Microsoft, yes, exactly. So I feel like the Sledgehammer thing is the largest shift up, and that was like the first domino. That is the first domino that fell, that really got this whole thing going to where okay, well now all of our studios are making Call of Duty, and now we've got all this turmoil behind the scenes. Okay, where are we going, squad leader? Thanks for just jumping. Oh, he did mark. Never mind. I'm an idiot. And now everything. Oh, great. We're going to the mountain. That's not good.
Yep.
Mount Doom over here. So.
Do you even? Oh wait, no, you do know what a Mount Doom is because that's the volcano. Sorry. Continue.
So I just feel like that was like the first domino, and if that first domino had not fallen, then I don't know if Activision optically or even on a development level would have ever been in a position where they feel like they need to go to Microsoft and go, hey, you want to buy us because things are going so poorly for us right now? So I don't know if maybe I'm reaching there with some of the details. I mean, what do you guys think?
That is definitely plausible. But my question is, do we know the financial? Do we have financial reports from all of these years? How much each game costs?
Whoa.
Because that would definitely give you more validity. I'm not saying that's not what happened. But that very well could have happened. What you're saying. Sledgehammer somehow screwed up the pipeline, and now Kotek's worrying that he won't get his handsome paycheck this month.
So, really quick before I get to that, Lewis did ask about the Blizzard stuff. It's like, you missed that. It was mentioned, and I said, yeah, I know. The Blizzard stuff definitely didn't help, but I feel like that even with the Blizzard accusations going on and stuff, I feel like the company still would have not been in as dire straits without the pipeline just absolutely falling asunder.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, that's the other thing that I was like, yeah, there's no way that just a scandal like that would
exactly.
Them.
Yeah,
corporations
this is such a multifaceted.
Like this, and nothing has happened to them. I think that was just more fuel to the fire.
Exactly.
Of the public outrage.
Minigun chopper coming.
Oof. Yeah.
They're parachuting in. In front of me. Help.
What was Cold War? What was Cold War's cost, and how much did they make? This is including that however long Sledgehammer had. Why were there creative differences? Was it an issue with Activision, or was it an issue
we still don't know all those details. So a lot of this is definitely armchair journalism, just looking at facts that we don't have a full read on. But I mean, it's not like outside of a very small amount of people, like maybe Jason Schreier, I don't know anyone outside of Activision that would actually have those details. So, and it's because I feel like, okay, he's on your right, he's the left. So he was on your left, excuse me. So I apologize for the horrible call-outs. Oh great, I've got the bar.
That's my job.
Yeah.
He's behind you. He's right there.
So, and it's just us. Great. So we don't have all those details. I mean, Activision would have to release like a huge, gigantic report.
That would explain. And yeah, the other thing that kind of tracks to give you more credibility, Blizzard hasn't done anything in a while. Diablo 2 HD or remaster, whatever that was.
And
but
yeah,
then again, I think that did pretty poorly.
And that Vicarious Visions was moved over to help on that. So so that really was. It's like they were like the one main Activision studio that got moved over to something that wasn't Call of Duty. So obviously there were a lot of different things kind of happening at the same time. But to me anyway, Sledgehammer dropping the ball with what ended up becoming Cold War definitely is the first domino to me.
I think that's the key word for me, because when you first outlined that theory, I guess I kind of interpreted it as, oh, this is all because of Sledgehammer, but like the first part of the domino break, okay, yeah, that I could see possibly being, you know what, there's
another one over there.
I know.
So I mean, yeah, I kind of intentionally did that because it was a little hyperbolic, and I knew it'd get a reaction. So I deliberately set it up like that. But I mean, the first domino is the thing that causes the entire thing to fall down. So yeah. I mean, it kind of is. If you look at it from that point of view, it is kind of Sledgehammer's fault.
From a certain point of view,
exactly.
Because we need another Star Wars reference. We haven't had one in a good 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really feel like if and this is my thing, this is just my thing about, it's like I've just, don't really care for Sledgehammer and the games that they make. Like World War II was fine, I guess. I haven't played Advanced Warfare.
That would be a fun game night.
But and then go through what?
Who did Infinite Warfare?
That was Infinity Ward. That was Infinity Ward.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. It's like what put Activision on the back foot now to make them in such it's all these as Lewis is saying in the chat, every domino plays a part.
Yeah.
Well said.
Absolutely.
It's like what is it that really, because I would because like I said, there for a while they were actually doing pretty good. Their optics were decent. People weren't hating on them as much, because it's like, I would argue that they were actually in a lot of ways in the quality of their output doing worse in the mid PS4 Xbox One generation, because look at the games they were putting out. Again, it was basically, like more recently, it was basically all Call of Duty. I mean, it was Call of Duty and Destiny before Bungie managed to break away. And so some of their support studios like High Moon and stuff were.
High Moon was dead for a long time, buddy.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm not understanding. Some people go, "Oh, High Moon will finally get a chance to make a good game again." I'm like, High Moon's a corpse. They're a walking shamble of their former selves. I'm sorry to put it that way, but all of the talented people that made the Transformers games, what those games are, I'm pretty sure they moved on and they're at other places now. So it would be like reviving Pandemic Games to make another Star Wars Battlefront game, but with an entirely new team. It's like, okay, they're Pandemic Games in name only.
Name only.
So it's like they're not. Yeah. It's not the same at all. So I just don't really understand some people's optimism for stuff like that. And it's like that's why that's just one of the things where I'm like, I understand why you might be happy about this, but I just feel like your optimism is misplaced, unfortunately. So because look at the Call of Duty game, going back to, I feel like they were doing worse in the mid PS4 Xbox One generation. Just look at the games they were putting out, arguably some of the worst received Call of Duty games that they had ever put out. Ghost to kick off the generation, then followed up by Advanced Warfare, which people were kind of like, okay, this is fine. We don't hate this, but no one was really in love with it. And then Black Ops 3, which and with Kevin Spacey, and then then we got Black Ops 3, which people were a little higher on, but the campaign was horrible, and then
no one cared. I hate to break it to you, no one but me cared.
And then after that we got Infinite Warfare, which for a time had the highest disliked video on YouTube.
Until they took that away.
Until they took dislikes away, yes. And so
jokes on them. I've got that dislike reinstater.
And And then looking at the sales data for Infinite Warfare, it was easily the lowest selling Call of Duty game in years. I think at the time it was like the lowest selling COD game ever, and the only reason it charted as high as it.
Oh, what?
It was because of Modern Warfare
Remastered, exactly.
I have no clue where they came from. I mean, obviously from behind, but.
I was totally bamboozled there. I don't know where they were coming from. Lewis, yo, what's a dislike? Exactly. So and the only reason Infinite Warfare sold really many copies at all is because of Modern Warfare Remastered. That's so I didn't buy Infinite Warfare. I bought Modern Warfare Remastered for $60 and got Infinite Warfare for $20. That's always the argument I've used for that. So and then after Infinite Warfare, it was World War II, which they tried to tout up as this big, hey, look at us, we understand. The amount of times they use the words boots on the ground during the reveal is just if you were to take a shot.
Advanced movement system.
Yeah, if you were to take a shot every time they said boots on the ground in that reveal, you would be dead. You would have died of alcohol poisoning because your liver could not take it. So
if you had done that game with the Xbox One reveal, with TV, you would have been even faster deader.
Oh gosh, yeah, you wouldn't have lasted 15 minutes. That would have been every time they would say TV or boots on the ground. Oh my gosh, that would have been
TV,
boots on the ground, TV, boots on the ground, boots on the ground on your TV.
You are going to have a relationship with your TV.
Yeah, you're going to have a relationship with this dog.
2013.
Gosh.
And I think I do want to kind of circle back to that point that you made, that you do think Phil is a bit, he's lying between his teeth.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bit sus.
I'll give you that. And I completely understand your mistrust. But the reason I'm a bit more optimistic is really because of some of the 20th anniversary stuff they've done recently. Like, they put out a documentary about the Xbox brand, including the Red Ring of Death, and I haven't checked to make sure, but maybe even the Xbox One and Kinect?
Well, see, I've heard people talk about that, and they think that and at least from the people I've seen discussing it, they think that the Xbox One stuff that they talked about was there was still a lot of hubris involved with that, where they said, yeah, we made a mistake, but basically the way it was boiled down for me was the way they explained it. Their mistake was not, we shouldn't have done this to begin with. Their mistake was, we were too ahead of the times and no one was ready for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's why I wanted to hesitate on that. Yeah.
So, which is it's like, okay, see, that's not the lesson you should have learned there. The lesson was, no one wanted this, and this was a bad. It's like NFTs right now, where it's like NFTs are just stupid, and they're just a bad idea, but no one wants to. Oh, okay. I died.
No one with any sort of power wants to say that.
But there's because they're like a pyramid scheme scam, and a lot of people are making money off of it. So some people are going, well, if it's making money, it must be a good idea, right? So that's one of those things where I'm like, okay, it still seems like that where Xbox has managed to mask a lot of their hubris, and we're number one behind, oh look, here's Game Pass, here's Xbox Live still being the best of the three online services, which I'll give them, because it's like, well, I mean, you've been able to change your Xbox Live ID since day one, where it took PSN 10 years to allow you to do that. So obviously they're doing something better there on the back end. Oh, Loki, you're squad leader.
What? I'm not.
Oh, never mind. You're just at the top of the leader. You're just at the top of the squad board for some reason instead of the actual person that's squad leader. I don't know why. So
Coca-Cola.
So and then it's like, oh look, backwards compatibility. We managed to figure it out. Again, they did that because they were on the back foot and they were losing, and they needed a way to get good press. So I feel like it undoes the act. It's like, these are good things, but they were done for the wrong. It wasn't done because they're like, hey,
for the right reason.
Yeah, they weren't done for the right reasons. It was not, hey, let's do this because it's a cool thing to do. They did it because it got them. Ooh, okay. I'm good with that. They did it because it was gonna give them, it was gonna help them survive the generation after they just completely face planted out of the gate with the reveal of the Xbox One.
I'm not disputing that at all, because I mean that is pretty much how it is. However, I think they were actually planning for the Xbox One to be backwards compatible from the beginning. It's just that they weren't able to figure it out.
No,
I recall hearing something about. And then when, it kind of didn't do as well, they went back to it and managed to figure it out, because that's why they also said that, it's, we
figured it out.
Not even that, but going almost hyperbolic and being like, we did some black magic.
Yeah. I haven't heard that, but it wouldn't surprise me, because I feel like that I think that makes sense, because for them to be able to do that, for them to be able to pull that off, it does seem like something, because it wasn't too long after. It was like, what, 2 years after the one came out?
Yeah,
something like that. That's not that long, really.
But here's the thing: it's not backwards compatibility. It's basically taking the game code and making it work with Xbox One.
Right. So
it's a weird pseudo backwards compatibility. Yes,
you can still put your War for Cybertron disc into your Xbox One and play it. That's the
no, you
point.
Can't, because Activision lost the license to Transformers because they made that piddly little game called Dark of the Moon. You can't. I tried.
It's Rise of the Dark Spark, not Dark of the Moon.
Close enough.
So so War for Cybertron was a bad example, but it's like you could put
GTA 4 would be what I'd use, because they actually managed to improve the game.
Yeah, that or I don't know, Republic Commando or something.
Yeah, I think that's had something. Halo 3, ironically, actually they gave it a buff for some reason, which is just hilarious.
Of all the games I could have chosen, I had to choose one that actually didn't work.
Yeah.
So that's
or my favorite case, they actually gave the DLC to Battlefront 2 for free with the Xbox One.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that from the
that was really cool that they actually remembered that had happened. Mm-hmm. They're like, okay, we got the files here.
Because they had like Kit Fisto and Ventress and Renvar and stuff.
They're super broken heroes.
Because I can't remember, does Kit Fisto have double blades like Ventress? Because I feel like they are both double blade heroes.
I don't remember, but
Kit Fisto isn't supposed to have double blades, so. But.
I don't think so. But what he has is is like this force ball.
Right, from the micro series.
And he just destroys everyone in his path.
Yeah. Because their designs were both based on the micro series, because he's not wearing a shirt.
Yeah. I don't know, man. If like imagine if he were in 2017 without the shirt. I think all of our machines would have exploded.
Probably, in high def like that.
Yeah. Oh, think about those like green nits and that cheese grater ab.
Yeah. Found another. I'm out of
ammo
for my LMG. And all I got is the shotgun.
Hold on, I don't have an AR. All I've got is there we go. Because I've got an SMG, so you can have all of my AR ammo.
I just threw away my throwing knife. Just in case. Oh, come here, Rando.
So this is, and I think I'm gonna close off by saying this, because I still have some things I want to look into. What's the Xbox brand compared to Windows and all that other stuff? Well, what are they pulling in compared to the Office suite? Because that's really what Microsoft is about. That's like what's making their money.
Ooh, the shot!
I'm definitely a bit more pessimistic now. But I still have some hope that maybe there's a bit of soul in that. I don't know. It's You know what? I'm just gonna say what I said from my Facebook profile. It's complicated. It's complicated. I don't know how to feel.
Yeah, no, it totally is.
But there were two things. Sorry. Do you have anything else to say on the matter? I'm sure you do.
I mean, yeah, I've kind of lost my train of thought because we really got lost on the backwards compat thing. So I'm sure we'll circle back around to it. So just say what you were gonna
say. There were two things I also wanted to talk to you about because, and now with Lewis here, yay. One, we got a trailer for Skywalker Saga. Hopefully it's done, and I just want to say it looks amazing, and I'm pre-ordering it. Hopefully I get the blue milk Lego figure. Secondly, did you realize that so the Moon Knight trailer launched a while ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you realize that the guy who played Moon Knight died?
No, it's
he died.
It wasn't the guy. He's in Moon Knight, but he doesn't play Moon Knight.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that.
Yeah, no, I can't remember if he was one of the stunt actors or if he is actually one of the actors, but he plays another character in the show.
Okay, I thought he was like Moon Knight himself.
No, because the guy playing Moon Knight is Oscar Isaac, who is Poe Dameron in Star Wars, and he's putting on a British accent when he's not British.
Why don't they just get a British guy?
And yeah, that's my thing. Why didn't you just?
Oscar Isaac is getting more work because seriously, all three of those leads need some more work.
Well, Oscar Isaac actually has gotten a lot. He's actually done a lot of movies, like Star Wars.
Dune
I mean, even before and after Star Wars, not including Dune, he's done a whole lot of. You know, he's done a lot of stuff. You look at his filmography, you're like, wow, he's been in a lot of stuff, and he's been in a lot of good stuff too. So, I'm not worried about Oscar Isaac's career. It's really Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. They're the ones that I've really been going. Ugh, they're pretty good. They're pretty good at what they do, but they did not really, unfortunately, do themselves any favors by being in Star Wars. Unfortunately, which that shouldn't be a gamble. Thanks, Disney. But
thanks Disney.
But so, but no, Oscar Isaac is the one playing Moon Knight.
Okay. And also, he was allegedly going to be like Solid Snake in that Metal Gear Solid movie. That's totally happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's still slated to happen, but I don't have much faith. I don't have much faith in it happening.
That's not happening, just like the Half-Life movie is not happening.
Oh, yeah, now he's out of ammo. What a way to go.
Wow. So how do you guys feel about the new Lego trailer that came out? How do you feel about the gameplay that you've seen?
I mean, I'm definitely gonna get it. I'm definitely gonna play it, but I am kind of going, this is not what I want.
Ooh, what were you? Can I ask what you were wanting?
Because I want a Lego game. This doesn't look like a Lego game. This looks like they're trying to. I feel like they're taking all the criticisms of, Lego games are all the same too far, and now they're going to make it something unrecognizable, and it's maybe potentially not going to work out. Because in a lot of ways, it is building on systems that they've been quietly putting in other Lego games for years, like health bars and combos and stuff. That stuff that was like in Lego City Undercover and in the Lego Ninjago movie game and the Lego movie games and stuff like that. So it's like these are things
Marvel
that
stuff.
And some of the Marvel stuff. So I mean, this is stuff that's been around for.
Is it the open world?
No, it's not even the open world. It's just that, like,
really.
But all these things. It's been like one or the other. Like, okay, we're putting combos in this game, but in the next game, it's going to be health bars and like the third, like in the over the shoulder third person shooter mechanics of it. It's like that's very different. I'm like, I'm not sure, because they tried it in Lego Force Awakens, and I don't think it was done very well in that game. It's like, well, this just feels really sluggish, and I don't like it.
Maybe they've learned from that,
and maybe they have, and I will say that Lego Force Awakens was also just, I don't think, a great game in general because it was done by TT Fusion 1, which is their mobile team, and it was the first time they were allowed to do a full. It was the first time they were allowed to do a full console experience. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, poor guys.
Clue.
Yeah, and also it's like, so wait, we're going to stretch one movie into a like 6-hour game? That's questionable.
That was the issue I had with Lego The Hobbit. It was the first 2 films. They didn't even wait for the third one to come out or even adapt it from the book and just take some creative liberties, which I would have been okay with.
So Lewis seems to be a bit more on your side, Dax. Yeah. He's saying that it's changing things that is, changing exactly the things that I want it to. The only concern I have is it being too slow. So he's definitely in your camp, but he kind of agrees with me in that aspect. So it's just, like I said, I'm definitely going to play. I'm definitely going to enjoy it. But whether or not the things that they're changing,
to platinum it.
I'm definitely going to platinum it. But whether or not the things that they're changing up work, that is definitely. I think it's going to be make for a very interesting best deal episode. I'm very interested to get working on it for that reason, and I'm glad it's soon, April 5th. That's pretty soon, and I really do hope that it actually makes that date and it doesn't get delayed again, like next week. I'm sorry, it's delayed again.
I want them to do like a Duke Nukem Forever, put out a release trailer, put out a trailer a few days before, and then they're just pushing it back like a week.
Yeah,
or surprise releasing it for like no reason. I mean, that would be terrible for the game's sales, but it'd be kind of funny.
So yeah, and also I will say I am definitely going to get the digital deluxe, not the digital. I'm going to get the physical deluxe version.
You want that figurine?
Well, I don't. It's not. I don't really care about the minifigure. It's just like I want all those character packs. Because it's coming, it's the character packs for Mando Season 1 and 2, the Bad Batch, classic characters, which from what I think they've said on Twitter is you'll be playing as the characters as they appeared in the original games.
Ooh.
So it is going to be the mumbly, because when you look at the movement like Lego Star Wars and Lego Star Wars 2 and the original Lego Batman game, you look at the movement of the minifigures in those games compared to how they move now. They moved much more like minifigures, and with their limited articulation and stuff in those games compared to how they move now. So I think it will be very interesting. It'll also be very interesting to see if they do like a whole. It's like not only do they look like they did back then, but we're actually gonna make them low poly, and it's going to be like the pixelizer from Ratchet and Clank, where they actually look of a lower resolution than they should. So I think that would be. It's like you have Luke Skywalker classic standing next to Luke Skywalker from Skywalker Saga, and it's just like night and day. Yeah, this is a PS2 asset next to a PS5 asset. I think that could be really cool.
That would be awesome. I could definitely see that being a bit difficult though, but you know what the 2 things I'm most excited for probably would be the new gun hero controls, which don't actually feel awful, and the cheats.
Yeah, the fact that there's going to... I mean, Lego games have always had a whole bunch of cheats, but it definitely looks like they're going all out, Mumble mode, it's like, that's one of those things, that's one of the things that when they changed and they started putting in voice lines and stuff and audio from the movies, I'm like, okay, great, finally. I'm so glad that we are finally here, because I thought the mumbling was cute in the early days, but as it kept going on, I'm like, why are we... for a while there, I'm like, okay, why does Lego Indiana Jones have mumbling? Why can't we get the real voice clips in here? And it's like, no, hold on. It wasn't Lego Indiana Jones. The big one where I was really like, why is it still mumbling, was Lego Batman the video game.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it was based off of any movie.
No, it wasn't. But I'm thinking, why didn't you get Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy and to come in? And now they did that eventually with like Lego DC Supervillains. I think they got like the old animated series casted and stuff. And I think they had like Clancy Brown in to do Lex Luthor and stuff. So I mean, they did that eventually, but like with the first game, like, why do we not have voice actors for these parts in here? So everyone going, oh, we want Mumble back. I'm like, why would you? That's such a step backwards. No, let's not do Mumbles.
That is actually the best way to do Mumble. Cheats.
And no, doing it as cheats, I'm totally happy with that. That's fine. It's like, so that way it's an option. If you want voices, you can have it. It's like, options are good. Instead of an either or, it's, well, you can do whatever you can do whatever you want. And I appreciate TT for taking the time to do that, because that's another thing. Is like, people were like, oh, you should do Mumble and take out all the voice lines. And I'm like, so they're just gonna throw out all the work they did to record all of these voice actors to record all of these because that was, and that's a whole
just people being whining. That's just people being whining.
So, and also it's like they did a lot of work.
Oh, they're in the house.
I invoke the ancient right of splash. Your opinion is trash. Yeah, I like that. I love that they actually gave the Gonk droid some screen time, which they probably should have like marked that video like not safe for work, because that much Gonk can do things to a man. Gonk body pillows, come on.
See, and Lewis makes a good point. Is that he's saying it depends, like, if you want to make an actual story, Mumble isn't the best. And I feel like if you're doing the Skywalker saga, all 9 films, then definitely, yeah, you want to. I feel like it needs to be with the voice lines. Where, you know, back in the day, it's like it's the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy, or even the complete saga. You know, that was just like a compilation of the 2 games mushed together.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really even all that different.
That was. And it was bringing it to modern consoles too,
right?
And
because Lego.
I forget how different Lego Star Wars 1 and 2 play. It is shocking.
Yeah, because there was a lot of changes made to Lego Star Wars 2 that were not in 1. Like building. Building was not in the original, so they had to go through and they had to add a lot of that into 1 for the complete saga. And
episode 2 was straight up missing an episode compared to the others.
It was 1 chapter shorter.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, chapter. Oh man.
And then so another comment from Lewis saying the old Lego Star Wars cutscenes were simpler, I guess, so it worked better there. And that was the thing, is that that one of the reasons that they did a lot of Mumble and stuff is that they didn't have the technology at the time on the PS2 to add in they were. The engine they were working on and what they were trying to do, it being their first Lego game, they didn't really have the power to add in a lot of voice lines and stuff, because one of the devs that worked at TT for a long time, that he said that was like the first game that actually really wanted to put voice lines in for real was Bionicle Heroes. They wanted to make Bionicle Heroes like a hero RPG with side quests and dialogue and all this stuff, but they just simply did not have the power to do that at the time. So they put in like 3 lines of dialogue across the entire game in intro and epilogue cutscenes, and they had to be satisfied with that there. And they made it more like a hero shooter, but with some of the typical Lego isms at the time.
Yeah, I don't know, that one's I'm a little hesitant on. They probably could have done that, because, I mean, for crying out loud, Lego Island 2 had a bunch of cutscenes and actual talk words.
Well, and so then Lewis was making a good point here that I hadn't even really considered, and I'm like, something, because like when they teased it, I'm like, something feels off here, because it wasn't even so much Mumble as it was just nonsense speak. And he says, so I'm not the biggest on Mumble mode here. Yeah, exactly. Because what Lewis is saying here, I'm not the biggest on the Mumble mode here. They didn't even mumble that much in the originals, but starting in Clone Wars, it felt like a lot. And it's like, yeah, because Clone Wars, as much as I love the Lego Clone Wars game, that really was when it started to change, and it was less mumble and more, like Simlish, where it was definitely a different. And I think part of that was because that was, and that's another. And like when Lego Clone Wars came out, they were just doing it at that point to stick to the Lego formula of the time. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Because they got the Clone Wars voice actors to voice their characters in the Lego Clone Wars game, but they did all the mumbles and stuff. So there's an actual behind-the-scenes video where you've got James Earl Taylor and Matt Lanter and Ashley Eckstein and D. Bradley Baker in the booth, and they're just making a bunch of nonsense noises. And it's this is so dumb.
I want to see this.
It's out there. Just search like Lego Clone Wars voice actors behind the scenes on YouTube or something. It's out there.
There's a moment hilarious.
There's a moment where Ahsoka, does a raspberry because Ahsoka, does a raspberry toward Grievous or something, and then she laughs at herself and she goes, "That was so unladylike." It's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know. That just sounds hilarious to me, and
So yeah, that was also a case of why did you not just have them voice? I mean, and that's another thing. It's like, and especially because they're working so closely with Lucasfilm. It's like, why didn't you just take the audio from the episodes and put them in? You wouldn't. I don't even think they would really need to reconfigure stuff like when they took audio from, say, Lord of the Rings or the Avengers movies or stuff like that. It's like, I'm pretty sure they had the raw audio files on Matt Wood's computer at Lucasfilm. He just could have emailed the TT going, all right, here's our lines for ambush, here's our lines for downfall of a droid, here's our lines for landing at Point Rain, here's our lines for weapons factory. Just put them in a folder, ship them over, and there you go. What? So
I will say this. I've only had an issue with voice acting in Lego games just because some of the games they do take just I don't know, it just doesn't make sense for an everyone 10 and up game. But that's just me. And some of the dialogue is really intense in Clone Wars. Not like there's a lot of language, just like, okay, wow, that's a lot of power behind that death scream.
That's fair. Imagine Rookies.
Landing Point Rain and Rookies specifically.
Yeah, Rookies and Lego was already kind of, wow, this is kind of funny to watch. But imagine it with the dialogue where you had the Lego battle droids going, do we take prisoners? And then Heavy going, I don't, and the cute little Lego minifigure saying, I don't, yeah, I'm awesome and I know it, and then blowing himself up along with the base. It's like, yeah, maybe this is a little too intense for rated E10 for ages 10 and up.
Yeah, that's my issue. And just because being a kid who couldn't play T-rated games until he was
I forgot about that
13, 14. Yeah,
when you were an actual teenager.
That's right.
Okay, where's
girl
loadout?
Yeah, I was that kid, so I always have okay, yeah, that's right. Some kids aren't allowed to play this kind of stuff.
Okay, so it's really quick. Lewis is bringing up a good point. Apparently, most of the characters in the original Lego Star Wars games were Yularen's actor, which is interesting. Yeah, so Tom Kane, who is Yularen, Yoda, and the narrator in Clone Wars, he did a lot of those early grunt work. He was if you listen to Lego Indiana Jones,
grunt work, or
the literal grunt work, all the that was all Tom Kane. Exactly. So that was all Tom Kane. So if you listen, especially you listen to Lego Indiana Jones, that's all Tom Kane. Indiana Jones and the villains, it's that's all Tom Kane.
You know what? I've got that on my 360 or my One, I guess. I got to go back and play that. That was a childhood game of mine, and I love Lego games.
Yeah, no, they're great.
They're great.
So yeah,
they're Ratchet games. They're almost all really solid.
I'd forgotten that Tom Kane had done a lot of that early work. That's which is another thing. It's why didn't they get why didn't why didn't they put voice acting into Lego Clone Wars, and why didn't they just take Tom Kane's narration for the intro to the levels instead of doing that? Because I don't know, playing Clone Wars, it felt a little weird to see the traditional Star Wars title crawl instead of having the Clone Wars opening at the beginning of the levels. Yeah. Because it's the show went away from the title crawl to begin with, because it's okay, the 2 minutes out of our 22-minute episodes is just the opening crawl. It's how slow-paced would that be? The narration was such a good choice. But so yeah, I'm excited for Skywalker Saga. I'm definitely going to play it. But you know what I think is just super funny about it finally coming out is, Loka, if you remember when we did Let's Play together 3 years ago? when we did Let's Play Together Overcooked Edition. My original pitch to Loka for us doing that with share play and all that of doing that, I'm like, well, Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga comes out later this year, so let's do this as a test run to see if we'll be able to pull this off. And he's like, "Ooh, that's a great idea. Let's do it." And we did that, and it's been like 3 years since then because the game has just been delayed so much.
So are you guys actually going to stick through with that, or?
I mean, I don't know. I would kind of be up for it. It's just we stopped. I feel like we stopped doing the original series. It's just because it wasn't really doing anything on either of our channels, and it really was a test run anyway to get the basics down to see if we could do it on a technical level, and we proved that. So it's like we never finished, and I think that was fine. But
I think it also took more effort than it really was worth it.
Yeah,
because of technical issues. Which
yeah,
I mean, there was that moment where my internet just
that was funny though.
Completely. Yeah,
that was really funny though.
That was funny when it happened the first time.
True, the first time, yeah, but then it happened like 3 times in a row, because, and then you just see Lococola as disconnected pop up on screen, and then his character is just sitting there stagnant, and then you see my character running around in circles panicking, and I'm going, what do I do now? And the level we were on too made it all better because we were sitting it was essentially Mustafar. We were just sitting in the middle of an active volcano with lava, and all the tables and stuff with our food was just floating around in the lava. And then all of a sudden Loka disappears and I'm all alone. I'm panicking in the middle of this volcano. It was hysterical.
It was must-see YouTube TV.
I mean, honestly, I'm pretty happy with the way those episodes turned out because they were pretty funny. But it maybe should have been something where we played through the whole thing and then made like a 20-minute compilation video of the best bits instead of making it a series. But again, we were just doing it really to test out. So I don't know. I mean, maybe we could do like one level. Like we could do like the intro level to every movie. Like we do trade negotiations and the assassination attempt, and we do and like the raid on the Tantive 4 and stuff like that. Maybe we do that instead of the entire game, but that could be fun.
Here's my other question. How much of this is going to be using geometry from the old games? How much of this is going to be new?
It's all new.
All new. No callbacks. No like.
No, it wouldn't surprise me if they have like bonus levels where it's like, here's the original trade negotiations from Lego Star Wars 1 all the way back in the day, and they have some stuff buried in there like that. But based on what we've seen, like all the levels are new. They've actually they've made everything from the ground up. It is a whole new game. If you've played the originals, obviously you're going to know the story because it's Star Wars, but you're not going to be able to go, okay, I know how this puzzle works. And you're going to be able to like solve all the puzzles. All that stuff is going to be gone.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean it like that either. I meant it like, oh, here's a little callback to this room from the first game, or I'm sorry, I just had a really stupid like, oh, that's such a cool idea moment. How are they going to do Episode 3's final level?
Yeah, that's the Lewis is also bringing up a good point. The camera work looks so different on the maps too. Yeah, because that's another thing is that they're ditching that. I feel like the camera's a little closer.
Are they getting rid of the locked camera and doing the?
I think they may be getting rid of the locked camera and you might be able to control it. I don't know. We'll have to see. And another good point he's bringing up. It also looks a ton more Lego in the environment. Yeah, it looks like the environment's actually made out of Lego now instead of it, so it's going to have a little bit more of like the Lego Movie feel, which I'm all on board for. I feel like the planets for sure are definitely, because like you look at Kashyyyk or Tatooine, the planets definitely look organic and stuff, but like the interiors definitely look like that they're made out of Lego, and I like that.
Oh really? You can't fire through that? Okay.
Is it plastic, rock, or sheet metal? I know he didn't say rock, but listen,
okay. So Lewis bringing up, it's like we need another Death Star hot tub room. Yeah, there's little things like that. I feel like they're going to do another Death Star hot tub
what
room.
about the troopers, the half-naked troopers,
the beach troopers.
Clone Wars, the beach troopers? Thank you.
Well, see, I feel like what they're going to
not the beach troopers like the stormtroopers with the thong. I'm talking about the guys in Clone Wars with like the ripped abs. Like,
the workout troopers. The workout troopers. Yeah, I feel like it's possible they might do some of that.
Yeah,
Give me your ammo. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely possible that they could do something like that. I feel like though, if they do the hot tub room in the Death Star again, I feel like what they're going to do, just as an added meta joke, they'll put actual beach troopers in there, like from Rogue One, because because back in the day, you know, they called those beach troopers as a joke, but now we actually have. Well, I mean, they're shore troopers. That's the actual name, but I mean, shore troopers, beach troopers, not that much of a difference. So it's like I feel like, oh, that's why you check your corners, buddy. Our teammate totally walked into a room. I'm like, I know there's a bad guy up there, and there's a guy hiding behind the door, and he just walked right past and got shot in the back. It's like, check those corners.
Flashbang through the door.
Exactly, flashbang through the door. Check those corners.
Someone didn't play COD 4, clearly.
Grenades roll downhill. I know that's Modern Warfare 2, but I remember having that issue playing Warzone. Back when the install size was
smaller.
The size of a smaller.
Where you could actually have more games installed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's a good segue to work us back to Microsoft and Activision and everything. Because there's still more.
I don't want to be bitter.
But I mean, there's still stuff. There's still so much to talk about. So like, you know, this is another thing of me being still very pessimistic about this, and you know, it's like, and how they could just like have a vice grip on the entire industry. Think about how much space it takes to put Call of Duty on your machine, like nowadays. Because like, if you want to play Warzone and Vanguard and stuff, you need like 200 plus gigabytes of space at this point, which is just ridiculous. And it's like, that's
Jinx. You owe me a Coke. Shut up. You can't talk anymore.
Oh no, Green just totally hit the ground too hard.
Oh boy.
So I mean, it's super dumb. So I mean, that's like, if you don't have an external hard drive, that's like half of your built-in hard drive on your system on a day one PS4 or a PS4 Slim or a PlayStation 5 even, because PS5 still don't have external hard drives you can plug in yet, I don't think. So
we can, but it's not an SSD.
Right? That's right.
It's weird. It would have to read it as an NVMe SSD, and it is a very specific type, and I think it's because it's better than just a regular SSD. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds dumb, but technology is like that sometimes.
Yeah. So Microsoft really can just put a chokehold on the entire industry by, because like the one thing that I would hope,
more games.
Yeah, the one thing I would hope is that they would say to the devs at Activision, okay, figure out how to consolidate your file sizes. Make them smaller, for Pete's sake, because this is getting ridiculous. Because they could, I hope they do that. I'm not optimistic they're going to do that, and they just say, you know what, make the file sizes bigger. So if you're playing Call of Duty on PlayStation, you can only play Call of Duty on PlayStation and nothing else. You are forced to play an Xbox game on your PlayStation, and you can't play anything else because you're not going to have any room for God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West.
That would be a...
and it would not surprise me if that happened.
Yeah. I will also say this. If Sony were in the same position, you know, acquiring a major publisher, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to pull some of this crap that we're thinking of as well.
I mean, yeah. So that's another thing, is that some people... Is that, yeah, because there's a lot of... Because this acquisition is very... I'm going to use a political term here, so forgive me for bringing politics into this. But this is a very partisan move where this is very one side of the gaming aisle instead of the political aisle, where this is made to benefit Microsoft and Xbox, and which business. That's business, but so because of that, there's been a lot of console war talk online, and everyone getting on their sides and stuff. And so one of the points I've seen made from the Xbox people going, against people that play on PlayStation, going, it's like, you have no room to talk about. How did you guys get no cash from that drop?
I don't know.
That's disappointing.
Oh, hi, baby.
Hey, now you've got Shanky's grenade launcher. That's awesome. But so it's like Sony fans don't have any room to stand here, because if PlayStation had done this, then they would absolutely be doing a lot of the same things. So it's like, you're just upset that it happened to you. It's like, okay, I've got a couple of retorts to that. One, Sony would never do this because they don't necessarily, because it's like buying Activision. Excuse me,
they don't have the money.
It's like, well, I mean, now they don't have the money to do it outright buyout. But as we've seen with marketing deals and stuff, they could have potentially they could have done a merger where they could have merged with Activision, and Activision would still report to Sony in the same way that they're going to do to Microsoft now. But it's not an outright, we own you. It just wouldn't be that, but it would have the same effect. And it's like, oh yeah, and so I feel like that's kind of fair. But oh good, you got tons of money now.
I just need to find a actual buy station.
Well, there's one up there. There was one down on the hill where you just were, but that's outside the zone. Yeah. It's coming in very quickly. So I just marked one right in front of you. So Sony would not have been able to buy Activision, but could they have merged with Activision? Potentially. I feel like that's definitely something that could have been on the table. So I'll kind of give them that. And would they have done the same thing? Yes. But if Sony had done that, I still wouldn't be happy with this, because I just don't think that any one company should hold this much power over an entire industry. Because this analogy I'm about to use works for if either of the big three console makers, if Nintendo, Sony, or Microsoft had done this, and it just ended up being Microsoft. I think my analogy works no matter who actually ended up buying Activision. This would be like if because another thing people are comparing this to is it's like, well, Microsoft can get away with this because Disney's been able to get away with a bunch of stuff. So why shouldn't they be able to get away with it if Disney can get away with this stuff? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not happy with what Disney's been doing either.
I don't think anyone is.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, I feel like this is. Go ahead.
All you need to do is look at every review that Prentice makes of a Lego Star Wars set, and that will be immediately noticeable. Yes, because Disney and it's only on Star Wars boxes. I don't understand it. Well, okay, and it's not only on Star Wars boxes, because if they do a Lego Disney Princess thing, then it's on those boxes too. But it's so.
And you buy those?
No, I don't. But I see them on store shelves. Oh, Shab. Oh, Shab! No! Ah!
Hey, watch your language.
Where are you?
I went to get the loadout, and there were people camping it.
Well, back to the grind then.
Back to find more money.
You, I guess.
So yeah, there are people right down the mountain, and they have no cover. So if you could just annihilate them, I would be very pleased with that outcome.
Annihilate them all!
Exactly. Just turn into yeah. You saw them running along the road right there. Yeah, there they are. It's the two of them. Cluster strike, yeah, perfect. Oh, you guys are screwed now. Please hit. You're not even getting hit markers.
Nope.
That sucks.
Did not hit a single shell.
See, that's why I hate cluster strikes in Warzone, because they're so scattershot like that. I prefer the precision airstrike. Because with the precision airstrike, you could have totally also, definitely led them into it, where it wouldn't have popped up on their screen. They just would have been wiped off the face of the earth. So that's aggravating. But so every time I review a Lego Star Wars set, Disney is right down there in the corner of the box. So as I'm going over the box very briefly at the beginning of each video, I always go, it's like, oh, there's money, but it's still not enough. But yeah, it's always, all right, here's the box, here's the minifigures, here's the set and everything it does. And then I always goes, Disney, and you kind of shake the box very angrily. So I do that in every Lego Star Wars review I put out. So yeah, I'm not happy with the way Disney has done things either. But so my analogy of, it's like, here's what Microsoft has just done, and why I think that their acquiring Activision Blizzard is actually worse than when Disney acquired Fox. Because Microsoft makes consoles. They don't just make games, they make consoles. So it would be better to make a 1-to-1 comparison if EA bought out Activision because they were going through troubles, and those two companies became one.
Which apparently could have been.
Yeah, that could have been a thing, since it seemed like Activision was shopping themselves around. So that would be a more 1-to-1 comparison with what Disney did when they bought Fox and some of their others, and like getting Marvel and Lucasfilm over the years. That's a more 1-to-1 comparison. What has actually happened is if Disney went out and they bought, let's say, Regal Cinemas, which is a movie theater chain. If they went out and they bought a movie theater chain, and they went, okay, here's what and so now every time that someone else's movie is shown in Regal Cinemas, Disney gets a cut of the box office draw and the concessions and all that.
I have enough.
So whenever so if let's say what's a movie from it? Jurassic World Dominion, that's coming out this year. If Jurassic World, yes, it is. Jurassic World Dominion comes out this year, and it arrives in Regal Cinemas, and it makes so much money at the box office. Disney, by owning Regal Cinemas, is going to make a certain percentage of that box office draw because they own the movie theater in which the movie is being shown. That is what is going to happen if with the Microsoft Activision thing, if they keep every Call of Duty on PlayStation, is that for every copy of Call of Duty that they sell on PlayStation, they're going to make a cut of that, and it's just going to exponentially increase their revenue stream on top of owning King and having Candy Crush and operating World of Warcraft. They own World of Warcraft 2. So that's,
or at least would own.
Well, I mean, yeah, they are going. If the deal goes through,
it depends on whether or not. It depends on whether or not the politicians actually care.
Yeah, but hypothetically, we're saying the deal is going to go through, and it's not going to have any. It's not going to have any troubles.
Can't believe people still play Black Ops 3 Search and Destroy. That's sad.
Sneaky.
Man, what do you have to do that random? I tried to save you.
Okay, Ghostface. Only in Warzone can you kill Ghostface with a Bren custom. Oh, that's a squad.
As John McClane.
Or Captain Price.
Yeah, or Captain Price.
Or Rambo. I'm surprised Predator hasn't been in there yet. It would really make sense.
Well, I tried. Oh, he's got your gun, Loka. He's got your gun. He picked up your LMG and killed me with it.
No.
Is that a team kill? I think that's a team kill.
Yeah, does that count as a team kill? So,
the Warcraft manual never taught us about this.
Yeah, so Lewis, just echoing my statements, Disney is still terrifying with their power as well. Lol. So,
yes.
So
yes, yes.
So yeah, that. But so if Disney also owned movie theaters, that is the equivalent of what Microsoft has just done by buying one of the largest publishers. Because not only do they now own Fox, but they also still own the movie theaters as well. So it's just gonna the amount of revenue that they will have coming into their coffers in the next 2 years, if and when the deal is finalized, it's just ludicrous. It's almost unfathomable to think about, and it's just I mean, I think at this point, I think anything and everything could be on the table, because buying because here's the thing. I know that you can't judge a company's worth just based on their earnings in the past year, because they fluctuate. Earnings go up and down year to year. Sometimes companies have off years and stuff. But discounting the companies that make the machines that the games run on. Because I looked this up the other day. If I'm remembering correctly, Activision was still the top earner in terms of game publishers in 2021. They were. So Sony made all of its money because they also sell the boxes. Microsoft made its money because they also sell the boxes. And then I'm also ignoring Tencent because they're a disgusting arm of a communist nation. So I don't even really see them as a true company. So I'm discounting them.
I can't wait for them to have access to my medical journal.
Dear Diary, today I threw up. I suspect appendicitis. Love, Loka.
I wish I was joking.
Oh.
That's all I'm gonna say.
So yeah, also ignoring Tencent, Activision was the highest earner of all of the game publishers last year, and Microsoft just swooped in and bought them like it was nothing. They slapped down $67 billion.
Actually, it was 68.9, which if they would have upped that just a little bit more, it would have been hilarious.
Oh gosh, you're so immature.
Hi, I'm Daxter. I don't believe we've met before.
Yeah, so but yeah, but it's like, that's just, I mean, think about it. Avengers and James Cameron's Pocahontas with blue people both got to $1 billion at the worldwide box office, and they only got there because everyone and their mother went to go see those movies like 3 or 4 times while they were in theaters. So the amount of money that Microsoft slapped down on the table to purchase this company is the equivalent of people doing that 67 more times. 67 in-games. 67 in-games at the box office is how much money that Microsoft paid for Activision, and they were the highest earner, monetarily speaking, in 2021 in the games industry. Just looking at the publishers. So at this point, why wouldn't they go out and buy 2K? What the heck? Let's make GTA a exclusive to Xbox. Why wouldn't they go out and do that? Why wouldn't they go out and buy Sega? Because if they already gobbled up the top earner very easily, why wouldn't they go and get the smaller ones for a probably much cheaper price? The only thing that would probably stop them in that case would be government officials actually getting involved and busting their trust. But I don't know if they've been getting away with it so far.
Yeah,
so that's
especially since if they have to crack down on Microsoft deals, that means they will have to go after Disney. And I don't think they want to.
I don't think they have. It's really sad whenever a government can't go after freaking Disney.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't think the money is the issue. I just don't think they care. I just don't think they care to, because it's like, oh, it's entertainment. It's not that big a deal.
Entertainment is an influencer.
Oh, it is. No, and that's the thing. Is like I think entertainment has definitely plays a much bigger factor into how things work. I mean, it's not like, I mean, in a lot of ways, government seems to like to ignore the entertainment industry until like a new facet of it is created, or it starts causing problems, or both at the same time. Because, like, you know, no one cared about comic books until like the mid-50s, and then suddenly the government decides that they need to get in there and start regulating comics.
Actually, the Brits seem to be pretty, like, regulatory over everything.
I'm sticking just to the U.S.
Okay. All right, carry on. And they did. I mean, I know they did with pinball machines, but
it's like, yeah, because the government swooped in the 50s and said you either need to regulate or we will do it, or we'll do it for you. And then we got the Comics Code Authority, which was historically very restrictive in what you could put in comics. And I mean, it's like we almost don't have what, you know, the comics media landscape we have today, because Stan Lee almost quit because he felt so burnt out by all the restrictions.
Over the restrictions, anyway.
I mean,
it's
just something you need to look up, and it's like, wow, this is like you could hardly do anything. And then video games are kind of the same way, where no one really cared about video games for a little while.
Mortal Kombat happened.
And then Mortal Kombat happened, and then now we had the ESRB. So, I mean, for the most part, everything has kind of worked out because the government has said, okay, regulate or we'll do it for you. And the industry, I mean, we have the MPAA because of the exact same thing. So in that way, it's all kind of worked out for the most part. But now we're getting back to the point where things are starting to maybe potentially get out of hand. And I feel like maybe it's like, and
now there's two of them. What? Nothing? There's no other way we can actually fit in that quote into our stream.
I don't understand what the quote is referring to.
This is getting out of hand.
Oh, okay.
Now there's two of them.
Now they're okay. I get it. Phantom Menace, got it. So
Phantom Menace, got it.
Was
that your 3-word review of Phantom Menace, or was that just?
No, it's definitely not my 3-word review. I don't think if I had to give a 3-word review of Phantom Menace, it's movie not bad.
4 out of 10.
And I'm definitely, you know, not to, again, we don't really swing into politics too much here, but just my very vaguest of vague terms of how I look at things, I am definitely not one for government overreach. I think they should stay out of business as much as possible, but it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, I can't believe I'm saying this, but could you please step in and bust some trusts? It's like, where's Teddy Roosevelt when you need him? Could we get him and the Rough Riders to please ride in here and bust some trusts?
It's kind of like with loot boxes,
right?
In a way,
yeah.
Where they were almost,
they were very close. They almost got involved.
And some governments in Europe actually have.
And I think like Delaware and Rhode Island and some state legislatures, Hawaii, I know for a fact, is still looking into some stuff involving that. So
no. There was another thing I thought of. Another thing they got refund policies.
Yeah, refund policies. That's another thing.
Especially with digital media as a whole. But games are definitely the forefront on that.
Mm-hmm.
Steam still has one of the friendliest I've seen. 2 hours and 14 days. So you can try a game, see if it, first off, works, is my issue.
Yeah. And that is a whole other thing about this digital landscape that we're moving into, about, you know, what does it mean for ownership of something? Because like you know, for instance, Battlefield 2042, that came out. I didn't get the physical version of it. I bought the digital version, so that way because it was an easy way to get the upgrade to PS5 when and if I actually managed to get my hands on one of those stupid things. But
I could help you. I mean, didn't you...
Keep crawling, Loki. I got you covered.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there was cover here. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm behind.
So, but it's like, do I own the game or do I own the license to operate the game. Oh, and that's a helicopter. That's just great. So that's a whole thing that probably needs to be answered, and then it's like streaming itself. It's like I know you definitely don't own the license to
just straight up stream a game.
Ah, look, where'd you go?
I went to check.
I thought you were right behind me, so I'm like, I'm confident in taking on this guy, and then all of a sudden, you're not there. No. So like, that's why I'm kind of trepidatious about the whole Game Pass thing. I think it's an interesting experiment, but is it? I don't think it's really the future of game. I certainly don't want it to be the future of gaming. I feel like this could potentially maybe be kind of harmful to the industry, because it's like you're not making as much money on it doesn't seem like you're making as much money on your product.
What about the poor guys like the indie devs who put it on Game Pass?
Exactly. They are not way.
How many people actually, after like what I do, I have Game Pass like I think for a few more days, and I try out some games that look interesting, and if I like them, I'll go buy them somewhere else. I'll go buy them on a different like storefront, especially if it's on the Switch. I'll probably buy it there, or PlayStation, or even in some cases, like I'm tempted to go grab a Halo Infinite myself. The campaign, not the game. Anyway,
not this time. I just shot this guy with an invisible gun.
Nice.
Invisible bullets.
Because I went to get because he was down, so I went to get the execution on him, because it's the same guy that killed me last time, I'm pretty sure.
Oh man, now okay.
So,
Lewis, go find the Yu-Gi-Oh! Invisible guns. Hurry.
And so I went to assassinate him, but then Price still wasn't holding anything in his hand when he went to do the execution. So I shot him with an invisible gun. But so yeah, it's a very complex issue to talk about and discuss, and why. And so it's like I applaud Microsoft for like trying it, but I don't for trying the game subscription thing. But I don't know if buying the largest publisher in the gaming industry based on revenue 2021 is necessarily the answer to help bolster your service.
And here's the other thing I also have a question about. With the acquisition of Activision, what's going to happen to all their other games on other services in terms of going on sale? Activision is notoriously picky with what goes on sale, what goes on sale fast, and what doesn't go on sale.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Black Ops 2 is still $60, and it almost
Steam,
never goes on sale.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I spent $50 on Modern Warfare 3 because I wanted all the DLC.
Well, was it $50 with the DLC, or was it
with the DLC?
Well, that's not horrible. I mean, because if you were to buy the base game when it first came out with all the DLC, that's setting you back like $120.
Yeah, but I can get Battlefield 4 with all the DLC for $8.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. But I mean, it's still...
I'm looking at like a direct competitor to Activision.
Yeah,
EA,
you're right.
Them actually putting their stuff on sale for a good price.
A game that old, that's ridiculous.
I'm sorry, I can't. I don't see the logic in that.
I just like Modern Warfare 3, so if I were to do that, I'm like, yeah, that's worth it. But just think of like, no, that is
Call of Duty Ghost is still $100.
The game's 10 years old, so it's like, no.
Call of Duty Ghost is the deluxe edition. Is still $100.
Oh, perfect! Now I can buy both of you back.
Awesome. So,
and I haven't even checked some of the older, like the older COD games and see what they go for on sale, with all the DLC attached.
Well, and see, in terms of the, going along that train of thought about sales and availability, this is, I knew we'd work our way. I didn't mention it earlier because I knew we would work our way back. But thinking about it's like, well, going back to Phil Spencer's, we are committed to maintaining at this time our contractual obligations with Sony and blah 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 and all of that. It's like, well, that's not very specific, and it's not something that was that Twitter statement is not a contract necessarily. Yeah. So if they go back on their word here, then there's not really going to be any legal ramifications for actually going back on their word for that, except for the contract, unless they null and void any actually existing contracts. So
you know what I think he probably meant by this is the more optimistic view of that. Phil could be gone in 5 to 10 years. Are they going to get another Matrick? Are they going to get another Phil? Or are they going to get another? I can't think of his name right now.
The guy, the guy prior.
I know his name. It's in the back of my mind palace somewhere. If any of you can think of his name, please at me.
I have no clue.
Anyway, who are they going to get for the next guy? Are they going to get someone who's dedicated to the gaming as?
Do they swap out their Sean Layden for a for the current president for their Jim Ryan, who it's like,
yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Are they going to be more business savvy? Or are they going to actually care about or are they going to care about the consumer?
Yeah,
I'm gonna get a little.
Because that's what Matrick did with the 360 in its later years. I mean, go back to some of those E3 presentations around 2009, 2010. You'll see a stark difference in how they played out.
Right. So with all the dubious wording and stuff, I could definitely see the thing which is another more Microsoft cornering the market and just sucking up more and more of the cash flow of the industry to where everyone else gets pennies. And it's like this is no longer competition. It may not be a literal monopoly in the definition of the word, but no one can compete with you anymore, which is another version of a monopoly, where I could definitely see it where Microsoft goes, okay, Activision games are no longer available on PlayStation. You cannot buy a physical or digital version of this game on PlayStation. However, if you do want to play them, we do now have a special handy-dandy Game Pass app that is available on PlayStation. So for a subscription fee, you can play the new Call of Duty on your PlayStation Game Pass app. And it will give you access to Halo and Gears of War and all this other stuff on your PlayStation, which would be revolutionary, but Sony's not going to be making near the same amount of money that it's just not that's just not fair. It's Microsoft totally cornering the market and dictating the rules of how commerce works in the industry. Because and again, what is Sony going to say no? Because if Xbox pulls Activision games off the system, and they say, here's our deal, put Game Pass on your machine, is Sony going to say no? Because no, they're not. They're going to agree to it because some money is better than none money, than no money. They would. I think it'd be. It's a bad situation regardless. But if I were the company, I would rather take the bad deal of getting at least some of that revenue from the Game Pass subscriptions on your machine than just missing out on that stuff entirely. And again, it's like Xbox could be powerful enough to do that. And it's like that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's totally feasible now. It's like why wouldn't and that's what I'm afraid of. Do they really have altruistic means here of buying Activision to help fix the culture and fix the company and make sure that there's not like abusers in positions of power and stuff like that, or are they doing it just to bolster Game Pass and make more money? Which is why I'm not exactly for certain if they're going to do anything with some of these, with these franchises that are on life support, like StarCraft or it boggles my mind. Crash Bandicoot and Spyro are Xbox mascots now. That is crazy. It's like
I could almost say, what a time to be alive.
I just want to see when this goes through, the Crash Bandicoot, like the old '90s commercials of
exactly,
Crash
yeah,
heckling someone. I would love to see that.
He's outside Sony instead of Nintendo.
Yeah,
it's like I'm on Xbox. I'm on Xbox now. It's like I'm on Xbox. Yeah, like he's standing in front of Sony HQ. You know what would be even worse? You know what would be even worse? Just as another punch in Sony's face in terms of marketing. If they have Crash Bandicoot with his megaphone outside of Sony HQ, and who's driving the car that's carting him around? Kevin Butler.
Oh
no.
Now they don't call him Kevin Butler because I think that's probably a name that belongs to Sony still. But it's the actor, and it's very obvious who he is, and he's dressed in the same clothes and everything, but he's got like an Xbox tie on or something like that. And it's like what an absolute sucker punch. No pun intended to the actual studio named Sucker Punch that Sony owns. But
this I would love to see that commercial, honestly.
I would love to see it as a parody. I don't want it to be reality. But I'm afraid it's going to be reality.
I mean, the gaming world's gone terrible, but hey, at least I got this funny commercial out of it.
Yeah. It's like Sony right now is the dog meme of him sitting in his kitchen while it's on fire, going, "This is fine." It's like nothing Sony can do is going to be a good move. It's just going to be necessary moves because I think it was you, Dex, or you were saying, well, what are they going to do next? Are they going to buy a publisher as a retort, as their return salvo? Is that what they're going to do? I don't want them to do that because again, that's just more consolidation. And it's like, so what? So it's like, what do they make a deal or gobble up Square Enix or something? It's like I mean, Final Fantasy is kind of exclusive to PlayStation already right now, but that's more a marketing deal than an actual concrete, this is the way it will always forevermore be. Because it's like, who knows? Maybe in 5 years, Square Enix sees the way the tides are shifting, and they go, "Hey, Microsoft, you want to make a deal? You want Final Fantasy? What's the next one that's going to come out? 16?
Yeah, that's
hey, you want Final Fantasy 17 to be an Xbox exclusive?
No. You should have stayed with the Final Fantasy 16 because that would have been funny. Because 15 took like 10 years to make.
Well, but 16 seems like it's about ready to come out.
It's not. It never is. Don't kid yourself.
Well, I was listening to
Sacred
Symbols, and it seemed
Microsoft,
like that they had
you want some of that FF14 money?
Enemy vehicle.
Yeah, with the online, right? Yeah, I had to. That took me a second. I had to remember.
Yeah, it's the funny game that Lewis plays because he knows Final Fantasy 17 or 14 is better than any of us.
Oh no! Oh no! I've been shot.
And I can't get up. Right? Is that what you were going to say?
Well, I wasn't going to say, and I can't get up because that's obvious, but. Oh no.
Oh, he's stuck.
Up on the rock.
Oh, there's a lot of them. And now you just got punched in the back.
I think that was two different squads?
I think so. There were way more than 4.
Yeah. So that's the thing about the industry, competition, marketing deals, stuff like that. That's the good side of it is that that's the good side of it is that if Square wants to change their mind about their deal with PlayStation and shift over to Xbox, they have every right to do that. But it's still going to promote competition in the industry that's hopefully going to make everyone come out with better products in the end. Where now it's like the largest publisher in the gaming industry based on revenue from the previous year could potentially just be permanently locked to one system, and they have no choice in the matter anymore. Bethesda, I was already questioning. I was already kind of like, I don't necessarily like this, but it kind of made sense because there's definitely some Bethesda franchises that historically make more sense on Xbox than they do on PlayStation. So it's like, okay, I kind of got that, and I didn't necessarily like it, but I kind of accepted it. It's Lando, and so it's like, I don't agree with it, I don't like it, but I accept it. It's like that was definitely me with the Bethesda deal, but
can I? So I think I figured out why I'm going through this, and I'm starting to see a little bit more of why I think we're so polarizingly different on this matter. I'm a Nintendo guy as well. I have an Xbox. You, I think, only really have a PlayStation 4.
Correct.
That is
maybe
correct.
That has something to do with it.
I was actually gonna say that, when we were talking about, or rather when Prentice were talking about, if Sony did this, we would still be upset.
Correct.
But not as upset.
No. I'd still be as upset because let Loka finish and then I'm going to go.
Yeah, I will admit there probably, and I can only speak for myself, but there, yes, I would have been upset, either way. I might have had a different reaction, initial reaction, sure, because of my bias.
Oh no.
What?
I'm just now seeing it for the first time. The Attack on Titan bundle is live in the COD store.
Aww.
Okay.
Are you okay?
I hadn't seen it before. I just accidentally tabbed over to the store. I'm like, oop, didn't mean to do that. I'm like, wait, what was that? Was that anime on my Call of Duty store?
Are you okay?
No, but I haven't been the entire week, so that's nothing new.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, Loka, continue.
No, that was pretty much my point, in that, at least for me, that there might be a bias there that may make me react differently, as an initial reaction or stances, but I do want to make it clear that even if there might be, I'm not even gonna say if, there is a form of bias from me in terms of PlayStation versus Xbox. However, that bias isn't informing my opinions about a big company buying up another big company, regardless of how I feel about said company.
Yeah.
So it's more of a case of I just want to put all the cards on the table so people know where we come from, so they don't go, oh, you're only upset at this because you're Sony boys, or no, Sony ponies, that's the one that people use. No, it's not because of that. Well,
and to continue off of that thought, if you're finished.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so just to naturally continue with that is, because that's the whole thing. It's like, oh, you're just upset because you're gonna lose Call of Duty, and you're not going to be able to play it anymore, potentially. And it's like, that's the reason you're upset. Like, no. That is definitely not the reason I'm upset. Because here's the honest truth from me, at least from my perspective. if Call of Duty as a franchise were to disappear tomorrow, like let's say some weird timey-wimey shenanigans happen and it never existed in the first place, or even if Microsoft were to say, you know what, we're just going to be blatantly evil and Call of Duty is no longer available on PlayStation, we're shutting down the PlayStation servers even. If they were to do that tomorrow, I'd kind of go, but it really wouldn't affect me that much because especially now that I have an actual paying job, my gaming time is so limited that I would actually be happy to have the excuse not to play this anymore because I love Warzone and taking that like 2-month break from it when Vanguard came out and Battlefield was out, I was actually really happy to take that break because it gave me a chance to like play other things that I also enjoy playing. It's like we played a little bit of Battlefront 2 last weekend. I finally got the platinum in Miles Morales.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I finally finished that up, and I got to play some Battlefield because 2042 is not a bad game. At least the version of it I've been playing. At least the version of it I've been playing. So I've actually really been appreciative of the time off from Warzone and stuff and being able to play some of the other things I like. And so if Call of Duty were to disappear from PlayStation tomorrow, I would be sad momentarily, but I would get over it pretty quickly because I don't know how many other first-person shooters that I can still play on the system. If I'm really, really, really desperate to play a first-person shooter, I will get Killzone Shadowfall on the PSN.
Ooh.
Where did the other guy go? Oh, there he is.
No! Come on!
Oh, no! Cuts deep.
That was a bushwookie!
See, man, these World War II guns are so stupid. I was shooting this guy point blank, and I didn't kill him somehow, and he beat me to death instead. It's like, where were these bullets going? And people say 2042 has bad hit reg.
Issues. People say 2042 has issues.
So yeah, if Call of Duty were to disappear from the system, it would not really affect me that much because while I do like it and I do enjoy it, I have lived in a world without Call of Duty before, and I can do it again because from 2014 to about 2018, thereabouts, so about 3 or 4 years, I didn't play any of the new Call of Duties that came out. I have since played them because they were like free PlayStation Plus and stuff, but there for a little while I wasn't playing the new Call of Duties, and I just didn't touch them, and that was and it allowed me to try new things and get sucked into other games. Like Battlefield was also not that great at the time either because that was when Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 were coming out. I wasn't big on those. And what did I discover?
An entire subreddit.
And what did I discover instead? I discovered Rainbow Six Siege, which has had its own effects on me as the game is going right now. but that was a type of first-person shooter I didn't think I could enjoy, but I found that I really enjoyed it, and that period of playing Siege for the 3 or 4 years or whatever that I played it, I really loved that version. The current version not so much, but that version of Siege, yeah, I really loved that game. So it's like, and I don't know if I would have necessarily been able to experience that if, I'd been playing Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 and stuff at the time, because I would have had my first-person shooter fill. So COD disappearing from PlayStation is not something that I am all too really worried about from my point of view. It's the effects it could have on the industry that I am concerned about.
Yeah.
So that's just to really drive that point home. So I don't know where you guys maybe are standing on. Oh, that's no ammo.
I'm looking at this as a fan of games who has a Switch, who has poured a disturbing amount of hours into many Switch games. Shockingly enough, I think my highest played game was Smash. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I see Microsoft playing nice. They didn't have to let Banjo go onto the onto Nintendo Switch Online. They could have just said no. But they let them do that.
Well, but when did they do that? What year did they do that?
This month.
Okay, well, so but prior to, because I'd say even if you look at their revenue stream and they're in third place now, I'd say right now they're winning, and it's like they're really gonna have to it's like this deal is gonna have to not go through for them to not be winning for the foreseeable future. If we're looking at this as a console war or whatever, it seems like to me anyway that they are currently winning, because it's like, how can anyone compete? So I mean, prior to this week, they were still on the back foot, and I would argue that they were like in last place, because Nintendo's just, at this point, they're just going to perpetually do what Nintendo does, and that will somehow work out for them, even though I don't necessarily understand it. So as long as they don't have another Wii U debacle, I think they're pretty safe. And they
they're going to give them a year.
So
they like to innovate, and sometimes their innovations really don't work.
Oh, there is a squad up there. So I would say that Microsoft was definitely in last place as of this time last week. But then come Monday, and that announcement, it's like they just are so powerful, at least hypothetically, before the deal is finalized at this point, that they are in first place, and now they don't have to play nice. Now, where before, again, they did, because they were losing, and that was how they stood a fighting chance. Oh yeah, wow, holy cow, Blue has a lot of money, because it's like, because I can't remember when or where the metric was released, but there was data put out that at least at some point during the PS4 Xbox One era, PS4s were outselling Xbox One like 4-1.
Yep.
That's
funny, because
that is not losing, that is being beaten into the ground by your competition. So, but now they've really returned. They have really gone, okay, well, so you beat us last console generation. We're not letting that happen again this time around. Now we're just going to buy the largest games publisher to compensate. And now they don't have to play nice, because now they're not on the back foot. Now they are in the lead, and they can do whatever the heck they want and pretty much get away with it. Because even if they have to pay fines because they own too much or something like that, it's like we have the money, we can pay the fines. It's like it's going to take government regulation to break them up if they keep going at this rate. So I came up with, I feel like I'm good at coming up with analogies, but this is the way I see it. If the games industry is a stamina race, you've got a high school track field that it's on a football field, it just loops in a circle perpetually. There is no stopping. It just keeps going in the same circle forever and ever, and the race doesn't end until you are worn out. And in this case, the contestants are different game companies, so they don't stop. So the race for them doesn't stop until the company goes under, which hopefully, as a company, you don't want to happen, but it does anyway. I mean, look at Atari in the late 70s, early 80s, and look at them now. It's like they technically still exist, but it's not the same at all. So
it's not even the same people. It's just the name that exists.
Exactly. It's just the name that survives. The company doesn't really. It's like there's a reason they had to there's a reason they had to bury E.T. in the desert in New Mexico.
They actually didn't, but I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, they did, because they found them.
I don't remember what it was, but somehow the story got twisted and it became a purple elephant dishwasher situation or whatever. There's
okay.
Continue.
Well, I don't know what a purple elephant dishwasher means, but
the telephone game. It's just the telephone game.
Well, but
it's basically the telephone game.
I mean, they went out to that landfill in New Mexico and they dug up all those ET cartridges. So there's video evidence of it. It happened.
And remember who did that?
I'm nitpicking.
Xbox.
Yep.
The Xbox funded it, yeah. I'd forgotten about that part of it, honestly, until you said, and do you remember who did that? I'm like, oh, that's right. But So yeah, imagine that the games industry is this endurance race. And Xbox, they've kind of been getting a little, they've stumbled a couple times. They're kind of lagging behind. Sony's moving forward at a pretty good clip. They're kind of, they're just kind of up there with Nintendo. They're just kind of looking at each other, going, "Oh, hey!" And then Activision.
No. That's giving Nintendo too much credit. Nintendo is doing like cartwheels and somersaults.
Right now, anyway.
Simultaneously doing one of the coolest things you've ever seen, and then proceeding to face plants.
Exactly, yeah. And so Microsoft is has kind of been lagging behind a little bit. They've been getting a little tired. They've been stumbling a little bit. And Activision, they've been at the front of the pack for a while, but then something happens. They stumble, they fall back, and then the stumble is enough to where Activision looks at Xbox and they go, "Hey, you wanna just," and they take off their little number thing that hangs around their neck, and they say, "Hey, you wanna just carry on forward for me and just take both of us to the finish line?" And Xbox is like, "Oh yeah, sure, I can do that." So Activision hands off the number card to Xbox. Xbox now has two number things around their neck, and then before Activision gets off the field, they hand a set of car keys to Microsoft, and then a Tesla car self-drives itself up to the field. Microsoft gets into the car, drives about 40 laps around the track. That puts them so much in the lead that there is no feasible way that anyone will ever be able to catch them. And first place is so far ahead that now it is no longer a competition for first. It is a competition for second place, because unless something drastic were to happen, how are you ever going to catch up? That is what I feel.
Tesla explodes.
But he's gotten out of the Tesla, and now he's running again. But he was able to gain such an advantage.
He died in the he died in the Tesla. Like, ran into a barrier or something. There are many witnesses to the death.
It's like, yeah, that'd be the government breaking. That'd be the government breaking them up. But I mean, do you understand the analogy that I'm using here? Does that make sense?
I understand, and I like to bring up another point in history. Remember the Time Warner AOL acquisition or merger?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how that ended?
It ended up not going through, if I remember correctly. They got thrown out.
No, it went through.
Okay, that was a different one I was thinking of, because I know Time Warner tried to do something recently, and the government said no.
No. This was back in like early 2000s.
Okay. 2000s. And that was there's definitely a different thing I was thinking of then.
The 2001 bubble burst.
Oh.
And they fell hard.
I mean, yeah, that's also possible.
Like, I'm not saying history repeats itself. It can rhyme.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yes, thank you, Lucas. And that is what Star Wars reference are we on? How many do we have? Okay, have you been keeping track?
I don't know.
I don't think we should keep track, because it just happens.
Yeah.
Score one for the Republic, then.
I just want to say, as someone who has studied history at college, history also could potentially go cyclical. It's, yeah.
So do you care to elaborate? What do you exactly mean by that?
I don't know. It just happens.
He's tired. He tired. Ow.
Ah!
Yeah,
on me.
Yeah,
close.
It's fine that you're thinking. It's fine that you're thinking of all these things, like with if the merger goes through. But I feel like we're forgetting the fact that this merger.
There's a lot of money near you. Oh, you have enough.
It could end up being the thing that kills a major company.
I mean, no, no, I totally agree with that, and I would be very interested to see if that does happen, because I think it totally could. This is either the smartest thing they've done or the biggest blunder that will go down in history books as something. Because I mean, imagine if this deal doesn't, because from a lot of the industry analysts and stuff that I've been listening to over the past week, that have been around a lot longer than I have. The trustbusters and the government have been wanting to get Microsoft for a long, long time, and they've never been able to really find the right excuse. Snipers on the hill.
Could be that excuse?
Yeah, potentially, maybe. And if this isn't it, but they continue to try to gobble up stuff, then that might be the excuse. So they said, okay, we let you have Activision, but this is a bridge too far, and maybe that's when the trust gets busted and Microsoft is folded.
What about Disney?
And then I don't think they're going to touch Disney unless they again do more buying. Unless they like try to get Warner Brothers or like they start to gobble up any of the other studios. Then it's like, as it is, it's like, okay, this is like the zenith of how far you can go. If you get any bigger, then we're going to really get involved. But so I think this could be the Microsoft got too big for their britches moment, and it comes back to bite them, and they get split into like 5 different smaller companies. I think that's certainly possible.
Xbox UK, Xbox South Carolina.
Well, no, I don't. Not that, but like Microsoft is a company, Xbox is a separate company, no longer affiliated. Activision Blizzard becomes its own thing again, or maybe Activision and Blizzard are split. Yay. Maybe it's Activision and Blizzard again. Oh, really, dude? That was, oh my gosh, what kind? That was. You seeing this too, right, Loka?
Yep.
That was.
We were spectating the same guy, right? Orange.
Who? Yeah, Orange. Oh, well, now I'm spectating Blue, and he's trying to shoot through a fence he can't shoot through. So that neither of them were really doing a great job. Nope. The lack of awareness Orange had. There's a guy on a rock literally like right next to him, and just did nothing.
Oof.
So.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah. So I feel like the last point I want to touch on with this whole Microsoft thing, and just why I'm still kind of pessimistic about it overall, is as a squad we didn't do too bad that game though. That's pretty good. It's kind of the final thing is that obviously I stake my case that Sledgehammer is the reason that we're kind of here, that they were the first domino to fall, but the recent stuff with the Blizzard accusations and stuff, that obviously didn't help. That was definitely it ended up being a fatal blow. That certainly did not. They were already wounded, but that ended up being a fatal blow that potentially led them to this area, to this place. I feel like, and it's there's walkouts at Respawn. People are talking about
Raven.
I did it again, for Pete's sake. Yep.
Yes, you did.
I mean, they were both teams were owned by the same company at some point.
No.
Yes, they were.
I get to be nitpicky at one point, okay? Let me be that guy.
I feel like if it's the same team of people operating underneath a different name, it still counts. Anyway, so there's walkouts at Raven. I said it right that time. There's walkouts at Raven. All this stuff is going on. I feel like potentially I feel like Microsoft swooping in and also buying them out, saying we are going to come in as this white knight to right the company and get rid of the people that are doing the bad things and make sure that the industry is a good, healthy place to work in. I feel like, again, they're not actually the white knight here. They're gobbling up a company to make money, and that's just PR speak, and it's actually going to have the opposite effect. Because I feel like what we were potentially on the way towards was Activision as a brand, as a company, falling apart entirely. Not immediately. I think it would take maybe a year or two. But if they were left to their own devices and the way things were going, you could potentially see, and it's like with the walkouts at Raven, and if that had gotten worse, if more people were doing that, like what if Infinity Ward and Treyarch and Sledgehammer said, in solidarity with our colleagues at Raven, we too are walking off the job until you give us better business practices. Talk about a wrench in their machine. That is really going to disrupt their pipeline. And what is if they don't put out a call? What if Modern Warfare Please Have a Subtitle 2 was delayed and it didn't actually come out this year because of strikes at those studios, that they didn't actually finish the game because of that. It's like, and maybe in order to circumvent this, they just fire everyone and bring in new people. Well, but the new people, because who doesn't want to work on Call of Duty and make all this money? Well, but I mean, now you got to train an entire new teams, plural, of people to work on these games. That's going to take time. So the game may be potentially still delayed or put out in an absolutely disastrous state that makes the complaints people are making about 2042 seem laughable in comparison. And eventually, within 2 years, the entire company just crumbles, just collapses, and it goes away. Now, the IP would not go away, I don't think, because then you would see other companies buying them. It's like, I think that Sony would go, okay, we are going to buy Crash and Spyro back because they have always belonged to us anyway, really. And then you know what? I honestly do think that in this hypothetical, Microsoft still gets Call of Duty. So I think that's because it's like, well, it kind of quote unquote, because when Call of Duty got big, it was the Xbox game. So I mean, up there with Halo and Gears, even if it was multiplat. So I do feel like in this hypothetical, Xbox still does get Call of Duty, which I'm, again, neither here nor there. Doesn't really affect me. Like, oh, sweet, one less game for me to play. And if I'm really that desperate, then I'll get an Xbox Series S or something like that to play it, or
I'd love to see that
or heaven forbid, play it on PC. So, but I feel like letting the company just die would have been a great lesson for the industry. Going, see, this is what this kind of management gets you. This is what doing this to your studios gets you. Eventually, it leads you to financial ruin. Your company closes, and now there are hundreds of people without a job that will hopefully be picked up by... It's like, hopefully, maybe, and it's like, okay, so the IP goes to Microsoft, but does Microsoft buy all of the studios involved in making the IP, or do they only, like, buy Treyarch, for instance? And maybe Infinity Ward goes to Sony, and they start working on SOCOM or something. Who knows? The possibilities for this hypothetical are endless in that instance. So who knows what happens? And it teaches the industry a good lesson of... Don't do these things, and it really does. And it's like, it's unfortunate it had to happen that way, but that's just, when you let things continue like this for too long, that is what happens. Instead of letting that happen, though, what Microsoft has done to get extra PR points by saying, look, we're this white knight, and we're going to make billions of dollars in return in the process. What's now happening is that those that were responsible for putting the company in that position to begin with, they are going to have a guaranteed paycheck for the year plus it takes for the deal to be finalized. And if they are, and that's like a big question, we don't know for certain, if they are kicked out when and are forced to leave when the acquisition is finished, they are leaving with golden parachutes. Not even golden parachutes, platinum parachutes with rhinestone names engraved on them. And jetpacks to go with the parachutes. That is how good they are getting the end of this deal for all the horrible things they have done. Because like the last several months, you've been really on. Dexter, you specifically have really been on. Oh, I hate Bobby Kotick for all these things he's done and how he's been ruining this studio and blah blah blah, or this publisher, blah blah blah. And now instead of him having this sheen of disgrace of look at the horrible things he did, look what he did to his company, to the higher ups, to the people that care about the money, to the stockholders and investors and stuff like that.
Oh, I've been spotted.
Yeah, I was too, but I wasn't able to see the drone. So I've been spotted again. So, but now instead, to all the money people, to all the stockholders, to the people that are really important in actually getting things done, and making and funding the company and making sure that the company operates and makes money and stuff, to those people, Kotick is like a bigger hero than ever because first of all, he saved the company in the 80s and made sure it didn't go under then. And on top of that, he led the company well enough for like 30 years to where, and he eventually got it into a position where it's like, okay, you could say the company was in trouble, but then it got bought out for 77, whatever it was, $69 billion. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, $68 billion, and it's not even a good idea to round up because rounding up to 68 or 69 or 70 or whatever, that's basically as much as they paid for ZeniMax. So we can't even round up because that number is so astronomically huge that it's conflating what they sold. So now Kotick, if he does leave, he leaves to all the money people's eyes and all the people that. Oh, hello.
Oh boy.
There's two of them. Okay, what's this guy doing?
Oh boy, this sniper.
Dang it!
What he does is he leaves as the conquering hero. Look at all this money you made us. It's like, yeah, you may have hurt some people in the process, but that doesn't matter to us because we are so much richer because of it. And it was all worth it in the end. And that is the exact opposite effect that 2 weeks ago everyone was wanting. And now everyone is like cheering because Microsoft says they're going to make things better without realizing that if things go one way, that no one actually pays for their mistakes and are actually getting paid for it instead. So that really irritates me about this whole thing as well. Is that if you want to, if you really want to,
may I interject for a second?
I'm about to wrap up here, so
okay.
you can have your rebuttal. But he did not go in that direction. How? That's super annoying. Okay, so yeah, it's just people like to say that they approve. It's like people are so flip-floppy. People say they support one thing and actually mean the other, and I feel like that this is the exact example of that, where they say they want things to improve and to get better, and they want change and want things to get better and everything. But this, I think, more likely than not, is going to not actually fix anything, and it's just gonna, I wouldn't say make things worse, because like, how can you make things worse? But who knows? Because anything's possible at this point. Because a company can just set down a couple $1 billion and buy the largest publisher in video games. So yeah, that's kind of my final piece on it, and why overall I am just not feeling well about this entire situation. So now your rebuttal, if you please.
You know that point in Parks and Rec where Leslie gives her great speech at the end of the debate when she's running for like the city office or whatever, and you have Paul Rudd go, "Holy crap, Leslie,
that was awesome."
I hate you so much right now.
Why?
You won me over.
Oh wait, I'm Leslie Knope in this situation.
Screw you.
Okay, awesome, sweet. That's not a rebuttal. That's an affirmation. Awesome, I'll take it. Because if they revive these dying franchises, or if they revive these dying franchises, or make sure that Call of Duty isn't annualized, and workplace and some of the workplace practices may improve, or we get better games, what have you, it's like, was it really worth it? Because the people that put the company in that bad position to begin with still got off scot-free. They're not paying for it one bit. So it's like, what was it really? Was it really worth it?
No, it won't be.
And who's to say? And who is to say that they won't take all this money they just earned off of ruining their previous company to go start another one? There might be a no-compete contract clause that they'll have to sign when they leave for a number of years, but I mean, with all the money they got, they can either retire happily, or they could sink a small portion of it into making another publisher, an Activision 2, Electric Boogaloo rises from the ashes, and then you just get the same thing all over again. And no one learned their lesson.
This is such a...
I am pleased that I was able to ruin your night.
I hate you so. Fight me.
1v1 me, Rust, right now.
I can never win an argument with you. Never. So I'm going to resort to the same retort I give everything when I lose.
No, you.
Your mother.
Oh, okay,
And
your mother. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That's fair. It's the COD player rebuttal, so that definitely works. Because I was playing the other night. No. I was playing the other night and I killed someone. And it's like, oh, what horrible things to say about my mother. That's so uncalled for. It's like,
My favorite one is when when the employer asks me what I see myself doing in 15 years, and me trying not to say your mother. Oh. And
oh, wow. So that one had money. That one had money in it, Loka.
Yep.
Yeah, dang it. Prentice, you... I don't know. Maybe I'm just easily influenced, but I cannot put up a good argument to save my life.
Well, so here's the thing. I was actually on my, and this is not going to go in the direction I think you think it's going to go in, but I was actually on my speech and debate team in high school, and
no.
But I hated it. I hated it because I think I did a grand total of 2 debates. I think because that was like the requirement is that you can choose to do speech or debate, but you have to do like 2 of the one you don't really choose. So I chose to do speech because I'm just a little bit more. I wasn't a theater kid, but I was a little more creative. It's like I don't want to argue with someone about something I don't care about, and so that was the issue. That's the reason I hated doing those 2 debates I did, and I lost them horribly because the issue we had to argue about I didn't care about and was dumb. Because I can't even remember what the debates were about. It's just like I do not care for this issue that does not matter whatsoever at all. So I just didn't really care, and I tried to prepare as best I could, but at the end of the day, my heart wasn't in it, so I didn't really do very well. But my teacher was like, well, you know what, you're just a speech kid. That's what it is, so it's fine. But I feel like, for sure, if you give me a topic I'm passionate about and I actually care about like this, then I will put up a pretty good front, and I'm glad that I was able to convince you. I don't know, Loka, are you any more pessimistic than you were prior to earlier?
I might be slightly more pessimistic now that I've kind of, have to think a little bit further, like, later down the line, sure, but I think I'm generally still in the same cap where I was, and to kind of, I suppose, clarify and also give a better description compared with my initial thoughts, because, well, those were initial thoughts that were kind of formed during the first 2 or 3 days or so, and I also think like where Daxter's optimism came from, since he got on a little earlier and I was already on, because it's...
Yeah, that's right, because you guys talked for like an hour before I got on.
Yep.
So like, based on those like arguments that Daxter was making, and whoa. Alright, I'm gonna put down the cluster strike.
That's a good idea.
No, never mind. Actually, on me,
it's a whole squad.
The cluster strike, so maybe.
Oh, you did. Okay, that's...
It's just being useless, as expected.
Hey, that's what my mother said when I came out of the womb. Haha. Funny joke. Thank you.
This thing has such a spread on it. Okay, we got it. I was about to say, we got to be careful, because that guy's a crack shot with a sniper.
Me when my butter is room temperature.
Oh, that's... Oh, there you come.
Yeah. I didn't have any plates left. That was not gonna work out, so.
Well, on the bright side, I can continue my point that
we're
rudely interrupted by those people.
Yeah.
I think the more optimistic side of things comes more on a smaller scale in terms of like some of the things they've said, like COD may not be an annual series anymore. There might be some.
See, and I don't believe that.
Some IPs that Activision hasn't done anything with that Microsoft might put to good use and stuff like that. So on that note, I can see like the optimistic parts of it, and I think certainly in terms of COD, you know, if this is what finally makes it go away from an annualized cycle, that's a good thing. I think especially after the last few years where, especially with both Cold War and Vanguard, really shows that, yeah, you can't just have a series that must have a yearly release, because the moment something is screwed up, well, it affects pretty much the entire pipeline. So like there are some things on a smaller scale that might be positive, but when you look at the bigger picture in terms of Xbox's and Microsoft's foothold on the industry and such, like there are not so good things potentially ahead. Although, again, I suppose if I have to be fair and nuanced and all that, like there are some things that Phil Spencer has said that makes me like, okay, I'm not really sure what to make of this. Like, apparently he said at some point that he don't even view Sony and Nintendo as competition. Instead,
he said
that Xbox's or Microsoft's, whichever one of those biggest competition are Amazon and Facebook.
Yeah, he has said like that, and Bobby Kotick said the exact same thing, which boggled my mind. It's like, why are you even looking at them? Because
they're making startlingly high advances into cloud gaming. And did you know who the fourth or fifth highest game publisher is?
Who?
Apple.
Yeah, because they have their foothold in the Apple App Store, the game service store, whatever the heck it's called. So now Microsoft is going to have their own foothold in that with all the King Candy Crush stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So assuming
Epic with that lawsuits had to air out some pretty dirty laundry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, yeah. That's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
But like, assuming like this is their like intent and thought process, like some have said that I don't know, maybe they're trying to make it harder for Amazon and Facebook to get into the gaming industry, and that is something a recent quote from Phil Spencer again is that he, like, when it comes to decision making in the games industry, he does apparently trust both Sony and Nintendo, and he has no trust whatsoever when it comes to Amazon and Facebook, because they're coming in from a completely different angle of they have a major, like a completely different primary part of the market, and are just seeing this as an opportunity to
make some quick cash.
Make some quick cash. Whereas, with Sony and Nintendo, you have a more, they're actually, like, sure, they want to make money, but they also care about their monies. Of course, this is, assuming that is this, because again, like, while there are quotes about you know, how Phil Spencer views Amazon and Facebook. Like, we can't say for sure at the same time that, oh, they're buying Activision Blizzard to make it harder for Facebook and Amazon to get a foothold. Like, we don't really know their full intentions beyond this will make us money.
Right.
Give us a stronger foothold. So there might be some aspects of that, and, you know, assuming that thought process is true, like, I mean, sure, I'll take Phil Spencer's word on that, assuming he is, you know, speaking true about that, and if it really is an issue of, oh, we want to make sure that these specific companies do not make it into the games industry, okay, I'm fine with that, but do I really trust that Phil Spencer has completely 100% genuine motivations? Like, I mean, sure, he seems like a good guy, or a decent guy rather, but I'm not going in like, oh, he's gonna save us all, he's gonna bring us salvation. Like, no, I don't know if I necessarily trust in that regard. But at the same time, I felt it was worth bringing up, considering it is something I've seen being brought up, that there might be some of these things that are bigger motivations than actually going up against Sony. But again, I mean, they are still competing against Sony and Nintendo at the end of the day. So
yeah, and see, that's one of those things where Amazon and Apple and Netflix and these others that they're quoting saying we were really looking at them as competitors. It's like, because they're making advances into gaming. It's like, okay, yeah. They might be making advances, but again, as we said, they're really kind of making advances just to seeing if they could break into the market and make kind of a cheap buck. They don't really seem wholly interested in, like, we want to make good quality games and make and really break into it as a real arm of their business model. They're doing is like, hey, there's money to be made here, let's make money. And I mean, I guess to a degree that's just how business operates. It's supply and demand. Because I mean, PlayStation wouldn't exist if it hadn't been for that. Xbox certainly wouldn't exist if it hadn't been for that. Nintendo, etc. I mean, that's why the gaming landscape exists as it is. But I feel like back then that was definitely more of we see that there is a market here to be not even breached, but more created. Like when Nintendo, after the gaming crash coming in, it's like they understood that quality games were the answer, instead of whatever Atari's thing was of just, hey, let's make E.T. in a week, or however short amount of time it was.
It was like 10 weeks, but it was still a pitiful amount of time.
Yeah, it was not long at all, even by standards back then. Yeah. So
the amount of time that E.T. was given was called not enough.
Yeah, exactly. So it was not enough. So it was done. So it was done for different reasons back then. Where now gaming is a established market, and Apple and Netflix and Facebook are looking at it like, well, there's money to be made here because there's money to be made here, not that we could do something interesting and new here. So so all of that just seems so different to me in comparison, that I don't necessarily, that it's like, so if it doesn't work out for them, if they try to break in, and they have been trying, they have made advances, but they haven't really done too much as of yet. Now tomorrow they could announce something, because it's like, as we have seen, things can change overnight. So So if they could announce something, Amazon could announce something tomorrow, because they have a game studio. I bought one of the 3 games they've made in the Grand Tour game.
Was it good? It was
decent. I mean, it had its issues, but I think that was more or less with the presentation rather than with the gameplay itself. The gameplay itself was solid, but it just needed the presentation and the content available just needed to be fleshed out a little bit more.
Bruh, I just had one of those people with guns in the church moment again.
Oh.
Which is also funny considering I saw a meme with that, with, you know, Activision, Microsoft, and like, I don't remember what the other companies were, but... No, wait, it was Blizzard, Activision, Microsoft... Ah, dang it.
So yeah, so I just don't, and so if it doesn't really work out for them, these companies, I feel like they're going to go, well, we tried, and they're going to dip.
Yeah.
And they're not, and I think that is more likely than not to happen, because they're not really, so far, they haven't really been putting that much effort, at least from what we've seen, the output they've actually been putting out, they haven't been putting as much effort into it than what is really required for that business, for them to actually make it in the games industry and for that to really work out.
Can I
so
quick?
And yeah, so really quick, I'm wrapping up my point here.
Yeah,
so
sorry.
So if it doesn't work out, they're gonna dip, they'll leave, and then it'll be okay, well, they're gone, we don't have to worry about them anymore. We don't have to worry about them anymore. And then we don't have to worry about them anymore, but in response to them potentially breaking in, Microsoft went out and bought the largest game publisher in the industry in response to them maybe breaking in. So it's like, well,
also,
that wasn't worth it.
For all we know, like that, like the things Phil Spencer is saying could also be misdirection.
Exactly, it could be misdirection. It goes, no, we totally have good intentions, guys, because we want to save the gaming industry from these other big companies. Meanwhile, we're a big company ruining the gaming industry because we're buying most of it. So yeah, so Daxter, your rebuttal.
No. There is one thing that, now this is something that Microsoft is kind of doing with Game Pass that I am worried about: the death of physical media. Mm-hmm. As I am a collector, that's why I got the physical version of Battlefield 2042. That's why I have the physical version of Alan Wake.
Of all the games for you to get the physical version of, it had to be that one, so you couldn't play with us.
I know. It's hilarious, isn't it? Anyway, but I bought all of these. I like collecting things, and to have a concrete a piece of physical media saying I own this is something I value very much. I don't want someone to come in and say, no, you don't, because you signed this voodoo magic ritual
terms of service
thing. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So
Game Pass complicates this, but at least
we
it
could
isn't
edit
the
this because
only
I'd loop
way.
it. I wish we could edit this because I'd loop it back into when we were discussing Game Pass earlier about me going.
Yep.
I mean, applaud you for trying, but I don't really. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. I value physical media a lot. So while the only reason I'm really okay with Game Pass is because I can still buy these games physically. It's not like they're not making
right now
copies. Yeah, right now.
Because who knows? Maybe Call of Duty will be a Game Pass game, and they stop making physical copies, and they stop selling it in digital storefronts, and you can only play it on Game Pass. That could be something they do.
Yep. But yeah, that's my whole take. And Facebook and Amazon would definitely be the two to say, yeah, we're going physical only. And then everyone else just panics and is like, oh yeah, that's what we have to do now too. Like, I'm losing my hold on the game market. Digital only, let's do that, yeah. But, yeah. But the other thing I wanted to point out, unrelated, Extraction came out.
It did.
Yep. Fortunately.
This is how Extraction dies, without any thunderous applause.
Well, see, that's the way I've been feeling about this entire thing, is that Microsoft's been doing all this stuff, and it's like, this could potentially ruin the gaming industry, and everyone's applauding and like, so this is how the gaming industry dies, with thunderous applause.
Yeah, honestly, like, that's a big issue I have, like, whenever I see, you know, like, how this is being received in games media. There's like a lots of oohs and ahs, like, wow, this is such a big deal and all that, and you know, so much money.
I mean, it is a big deal.
Wow. Yeah.
But is it a good deal?
Yes. But the whole, like, they're kind of looking at it, it's like, oh, it's very cool. They just dropped so much money, and it's like, no, it's not cool.
That is a concerning amount of money that they dropped.
Yeah, like I said, it is 60. It's 67 in games at the box office.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe we'd both be okay with it, or at least more okay with it, if we saw how they treated Bethesda stuff.
Yeah, it's too soon. It was 5 months ago. It wasn't even a whole 6 months ago that they made that purchase. So we haven't been able to see their track record yet. Because I don't think that deal's really closed either. Either.
I mean, some games are going Xbox exclusive, like I think Starfield's going to start off that way.
Yep.
And they said prior to that announcement that we are going to honor deals and make sure that, and we are not in the habit of taking away games, we are trying to make sure that as many people can play these games as possible. Oh, by the way, Starfield's exclusive, like 2 months after we said that.
But no one cares about Starfield, so, ha.
Well, it doesn't technically really exist yet because it's not out.
Yep. I'm sure that'll change, but whatever.
Ah, no.
That's here or there.
I could have had him.
Oh.
Oh boy, they're all on the roof.
Oh, a dart.
Although I think they might be shooting each other. Okay, one just dropped down.
Got him. Oh my gosh, what a shot. That was with my SMG too.
I'll pretend I saw what you did and say nice. Very good job, Francis.
No.
Have you sent in your application for phase yet?
Get up and go. Gas is inbound. Marking new safe zone.
Can you make it? No.
No.
Gas is inbound.
For the safe zone.
Okay, so there is only that one guy left.
Uh-huh. I broke his armor, and he's in the storm too, I think.
You can hear him coughing. Oh, he on your left. He was jumping down from the window.
I see him.
Safe zone. Closing in. Rotating the safe zone. This is it. Do or die.
Trophy system deployed.
He doesn't have any armor left. Got him.
Hey. Winner, chicken dinner.
Yep. So, I think this is probably going to be a good point to wrap up, but just the final pin on this before we wrap up. Yeah, you mentioned about, thinking, it's like there may be rumblings of Call of Duty not being annualized anymore, and I butted in a little bit and I said I don't believe that, but then you continued on to your point. So moving our way back to that, I feel like Call of Duty is going to continue to be annualized, and that's just because of redundancy in the studios they have bought, because they have 3 studios that make Call of Duty. So you can't de-annualize it and then expect to keep those studios. If you de-annualize the franchise, then you're going to have to do something with those studios, move them to different roles, and there's already like enough doubt about turnover and what jobs are going to remain. When if is there going to be any layoffs, blah blah blah. That's already in doubt with the way things are going. But if Call of Duty is no longer annualized, then I feel like High Moon and Beanox and Vicarious Visions and these studios, I think they're fine because they've made other games before. They can move on and do other stuff. But Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer have only ever made, not Treyarch. I ignored them. But for most of their lifetime at this point, in the past, 15, 20 years, just to say, they've really only made Call of Duty. I think the last non-Treyarch game was a Spider-Man game in 2004?
On what?
PS2. I think they made Spider-Man 2, maybe? Question mark? Something like that?
I
think so. I don't know. That's a little too good for them, but continue.
Well, but that's one of those things where the Treyarch of today is not the Treyarch of yesteryear. So really, they've really only made Treyarch. I'm looking it up right now. They've really only ever made Call of Duty the way they exist now. So it's like, what are you gonna? So if you de-annualize Call of Duty, what are you gonna do with all of your? Okay, so they did Spider-Man in 2000. They did Spider-Man in 2002 and Spider-Man 2 2004. So yeah, they did. So they made the Raimi. And Spider-Man 3 in 2007. So they made the Raimi games for the Raimi trilogy. But again, Raimi
games with guns. Come on, where is it?
So
Spider-Man of Duty.
Spider-Man of Duty. So, but the way the studio exists now, they are made to make Call of Duty. The people that made the Spider-Man games and stuff way back in the day, they're not there anymore. So I would assume, and if they are, then they're like. They're probably so conditioned to make Call of Duty they don't even know how to make those other games anymore, and they can't make Spider-Man. They can't go back to Spider-Man unless they leave Treyarch and join Insomniac, because Insomniac has that tied down. So what are you going to do with these three studios? Sledgehammer, I could definitely see if you de-annualize. I could see Sledgehammer being dissolved and the people that work at Sledgehammer being divided in half. And some being put into Infinity Ward and some being put into Treyarch. And so Infinity Ward becomes the campaign multiplayer people with their increased team size. And then Treyarch is solely zombies. I could see that happening. But that's still a big shift. And I don't know. Just to keep the cogs moving, at least for right now. Now, 5-6 years down the line, maybe you do this. But for right now, and it's going to remain this way for the immediate future anyway. But so if they do de-annualize, it's not going to be until 2024, 2025, probably, because of what they would have working and in the pipeline and in development. So it's a long ways off. But I don't know. Maybe at that point you do dissolve Sledgehammer, because Sledgehammer has never really been an impressive studio to begin with. They were because the original game they started to work on was aborted before they really got to get started on it, and they became a workhorse to help Infinity Ward with Modern Warfare 3. And then they've made the least popular Call of Duties of this generation outside of Infinite Warfare. So I think for a long while, maybe it'll happen eventually, but for a long while, I think Call of Duty is going to remain annualized, because people complain about it in the industry, but the game is consistently top of the charts year after year, and even when they have an off year or a Rockstar game comes out like GTA or Red Dead, they're always in second place instead. So it's oh no, we are in second place with 12 million units sold. Ooh, how terrible. So I don't know if you being Microsoft decide to stop that cash cow and stop that, especially to help market Game Pass. This fall, this November on Game Pass, we have the new Call of Duty every year, and this is the only place you can play it. Why wouldn't you do that? But that also goes into my whole thing about, is Call of Duty really a new game every year, or is it just an expansion pack? And maybe they don't and maybe they release a new Call of Duty update every year that's large, but not on the scale of a new game or something. and like they add to Warzone and stuff like we were hypothesizing, a couple weeks ago. It's so funny because now all these things that we've been talking about, what's the future of Call of Duty, what are they moving forward with? It's all in flux now. So, oh boy. So, do you have any rebuttals against that, or either of you?
Me, Angie.
Nah.
Okay. So yeah, Lewis has left us because it's been a long while.
Dead?
No, he's not dead. He's just no longer in the stream. But I think that's probably one of our best streams we've had in a while, even just with the three of us and Lewis in the chat, because that was a really good discussion.
Really saying that because you won?
Well, I mean, true, but I mean, yes, I did kind of win, but I mean, I feel like, I mean, we touched on a lot of various points, so I don't know. I feel like that was just I mean, do you not feel it was a good discussion because you lost, or?
A little bit, just slightly. Yes. But seriously, I'm just so wishy-washy, it frustrates me. Because I think what I'm going to end off by saying is my final thoughts. I was going into this thinking of all the franchises that would hopefully be, remade, reinvigorated, revived, even. But now, seeing that Kotick and all of these board members are going to get away almost scot-free and then some.
Scot-free implies that they're not being paid, because they are. It's more like that they're robbing their own kingdom and fleeing while it burns.
Yep.
So they're getting off scot-rich.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm not okay with that. At the end of the day, I'm not okay with that. The only reason this Activision has stayed afloat and made all this money is because of Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
And the casuals, and I mean like Timothy, the 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm talking the guy who claims he's a gamer but only plays the annual Call of Duty. He doesn't care about the games industry. He only cares about the Call of Duty industry and whether or not there's going to be a new thing for him to play.
Which there will be, because it's annualized.
Yes.
It's a safe bet.
Exactly. It's the same people who play NBA 2K and claim that it's that same argument. No, they don't care that there has been people who have been hurt, people who have died over this. And them just to get away with like, in these massive golden parachutes that blind us all with their brilliance and majesty and money? No, I'm not okay with that. There would have to be a promise that they would not only fire them, or not only fire them, but take them to court over this.
I mean, there's a couple different lawsuits against Kotick and stuff, so I mean that there might still be some fallout from that, but
that's not going to be enough. Microsoft would have to step in and personally do something about this.
Well, and what else? Since they're going to be affiliated, what if the Microsoft lawyers step in on behalf of Kotick?
That's even worse.
Yeah, exactly. But I could see that happening. But I could see that happening now because Activision's a Microsoft asset. So why wouldn't you want to protect your?
Maybe you don't have to. I mean,
it's all very dirty and nasty, and I don't like any of it. It's too big and scary.
This is gonna keep me up tonight, probably. So,
well, I hope it keeps me up because I got a night shift in about half hour, so I need
drink some coffee instead of white grape juice, like a man.
I don't drink coffee, and I think I'm better for it. But so anyway, last thing I will say is that because I just thought of this. This is pretty funny. So I did just very recently. uninstall the BioShock collection from my console because I played about 2 hours of it back in March or April of last year, and I have not been back to it since. Not because I don't want to go back to it, but because games like Call of Duty are McDonald's, and I would rather go for the quick, easy McDonald's over going to the sit-down gourmet restaurant. And I know from those 2 hours I played of BioShock 1 that this is a really good game. I think I would really, really enjoy this, but I don't want to play it right now. And it's been sitting on my console for almost a year, so I'm just going to uninstall it and get back to this later when I actually have time. And I definitely don't have time now because I know for a fact that my next break from Call of Duty or Battlefield will be in February when Horizon Forbidden West comes out. So there's that on the horizon. On the horizon. That was unintentional. So sure, again, just reinforcing my point that if Call of Duty were to disappear from PlayStation overnight, I would honestly be okay with that. So. And I'd still be able to watch. I'd still be able to watch the cutscenes for the campaign for Modern Warfare Police Episode Subtitle 2 on YouTube. So I'd still be able to get the story even if I wasn't able to play it. So anyway, so we've been going on long enough. Like I said, I need to have a night shift that I need to be getting to here pretty quick. So that'll be it for this stream. So thank you so very much for watching. If you watch this live or if you watch this later, I thank you so much for watching. The almost 3.5 hours of this. We usually go on this long anyway, but it's usually just a bunch of random stuff. We never usually talk about a topic, this almost singular topic, for this long. We talked about Lego Star Wars for like 20 minutes there in the middle, but then the rest of it has all been Microsoft acquiring Activision related, and that's basically been it.
Those were the happiest 20 minutes I've had in a while.
Yeah, compared to the other 3 hours, that 20 minutes we talked about Lego Star Wars is actually pretty fun, but the rest of it's been pretty doom and gloom, so I apologize for that, but I think we had a good discussion, so I think it's been worth it. So, signing off, I am British Wolf15, once again joined by Coca-Cola.
He fell asleep.
LMG was mounted and loaded.
And Daxter Corp HD. And that is the death rattle of the games industry as Microsoft continues to acquire things. So, and of course, we are also joined by Lewis in the chat, along with a lot of Russian bots trying to get me to go to sketchy websites, probably, which I find annoying. But anyway, so yeah, that has been this stream.
Support the invasion of the Ukraine.
Oh gosh, yeah, we're not getting into that for sure. So. Yeah, that has been it for this stream. We will see you guys next time. So, thank you for watching and goodbye.